In NASCAR 25, we really saw the opportunity to do something different with the race day experience. So having worked on a bunch of different NASCAR games in my career, it's always been sort of the same flow when you get to the race weekend of, practice, qualify, and race. And while we wanted to have those features in there, obviously, we wanted to make them all feel very unique and memorable.
So to execute there, we've actually taken certain areas of each track and really built these scenes where we can show the car models in a different way. Traditionally we've only shown the car models once you actually get on track, and now we're using them almost like a character in a movie.
So one of the ways that we've done that is we're doing everything at the racetrack from the driver's perspective. When you get to the racetrack, you're down in the pits, you're in the garage, you're intermingling with your crew members, with your team, you're in your car. There's no concept of what is a normal race day UI where you're just clicking through menus. You're actually the driver at the track in your car, interacting with your crew chief and your spotter.
Everybody knows that iRacing is all about authenticity. It's not just a marketing slogan, right? The company was literally founded on this notion of being authentic first and realistic. We've talked a lot about car models and track models and laser scanning, but we haven't really gotten into the sound yet. And when you come to these NASCAR tracks, the sound is everything, right? In NASCAR 25, every engine sound that you hear is actually recorded from those real world race cars. And one of the things we're super excited about this year is the spotters. You have not one, but two real world Cup spotters that we're working with in Josh Williams and TJ Majors, and we've learned so much from these guys.
Playing these games enabled me to become part of a community that gave me an opportunity to get involved in something that I love.
My grandfather was general manager at the Motor Speedway for about 25 years. So just grew up around the track, listening to radios, didn't really know anything different. My parents they did sell souvenirs for Del Senior. So for 20 years they did that. So just always being around it.
Being involved in a game like this is unique, man, and it's really cool. I don't think, it's not an opportunity that comes along to everyone all the time.
So spotting started late 70s, early 80s. A few drivers just wanted an extra set of eyes just to kind of see the rest of the track where they couldn't see it. And then everybody started realizing it was a benefit for them. So then everybody kind of ended up with them every week. And then NASCAR finally made it mandatory, I think early 90s. Some bigger accidents, people got hurt, so they made them mandatory now. So there has to be a spotter on the roof before they'll let your car leave pit road.
So one of our big focuses with NASCAR 25 is this notion of immersion and emotion. And we're really tapping into the emotional side of what it's like to be a driver. And one of the examples with Junior was we asked him, you go to a race weekend, when are you most stressed out? And his answer really shocked us. You'd think it was, being 4 wide at Talladega for 4 or 5 hours straight. And actually it was qualifying. And he said, when I'm the most stressed out, I'm actually sitting on pit road. I'm about to go out. I hear that car go by before me. Official waves me on and I know it's my turn. He's like, I got this taped up car. I'm ready to send it down into turn 1 and just see what happens. And not only that, but I'm the only car on the track, and I've got the entire industry watching me. And it was really that sort of light bulb from a design perspective that was like, oh, we need to put a lot more emotion into not just the racing, but all of these other stages that the drivers go through on a race weekend.
One of the good challenges, I think, for us trying to build this product is the sensory overload and putting you in the moment, like right before you get into the car, feeling like, the spectacle of the Daytona 500, the pre-race, all the build-up, bringing all of that in and trying to build the anxiety and build the nerves up in the user so that they realize how critical a moment is and they feel that pressure and anxiety to perform and succeed. And that's a fun challenge, but one I think we're up to the task. Visit NASCAR25.com for more information on the game, and make sure you follow us on social media at NASCAR25Game.
Welcome to the Proving Ground. Welcome to Metal Crunching. It's all or nothing for 26 weeks of the year. Welcome to the NASCAR Xfinity Series, only on the CW.
Tonight, on Countdown to Green, we see how Segment 3 began with all the action from Iowa. We go rapid fire once more with the eNASCAR field. And we check out how you're racing at home. Logitech Show Us Your Rig segment. All of that and more coming up on Countdown to Green.
Hello and welcome to the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series. Of course, we're in Dover. You can see there the monster. I'm your host, Camille Salsar-Hadaway. Joining me, as always, we have Ryan Vargas and Alan Cavana. How are you two doing? Ryan, you're somewhere different.
Oh, man, it's been a travel nightmare today. But you know what? I could not miss eNASCAR at Dover Motor Speedway, one of my favorite racetracks in real life, and even one of my favorites on the sim.
Yeah, I love this track for so many reasons. One of the first tracks I ever went to. And Camille, it's got the best trophy in all of sports. I know everyone wants the championship trophy, but getting that little, I-Monster, E-Monster, whatever you call it, every driver wants a little monster tonight.
Everyone wants a little monster, but hopefully it's not monstrous on the track. We're going to have to see how it all plays out. But before we do, we got to talk about Iowa, our last race. Ryan, what happened?
Oh, man. Well, new build, but you know what? It led to a little bit of chaos here, Alan. We saw a lot of craziness happen in this race. Some tempers flaring for sure, but nonetheless some exciting racing. And, well, the free space on our bingo card got it done at Iowa.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, anytime you have the heat races, then you have a lot of people chirping after this race, you know something crazy was bound to have happened. But the strategy that played out, Steven Wilson having to make his way through the field. We saw 2 and 3 wide racing, which 3 wide racing may not even always want at Iowa, but here's just an issue as everyone's coming down the road. There were big names, Ryan, that had issues in this. Logan Clampett coming across the track. Innocent victims in some of these crashes, Ryan.
Yeah, and that's the tough part about these eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series races. Everybody's so on top of each other right here as we see 3x3 racing at the newly rescanned Iowa Speedway, but Logan Clampett, we saw him lose a little bit of temper there, and a couple innocent bystanders there. There's Brian LaPrade, just getting stacked up into the wall there. And Alan, nonetheless, it's so cool to see just how quickly these drivers adapted to the new conditions here with the rescan.
Absolutely. And all the chaos we're seeing, look who's out front, not dealing with any of it. The Iowa man himself, the man himself winning everything, Steven Wilson doing burnouts again at his home track. Another win for Steven Wilson, Ryan.
Oh, yeah, no, Steven Wilson, like I said, he's our bingo free space, right? He's the guy who we could almost always count on to get it done. But I'm looking at these segment 3 driver standings. Steven Wilson, obviously, leading the charge there. Michael Cozy Jr., we're going to talk a little bit about him tonight in P6. And as you look through this running order, Colin Keister, a winner in the series, sitting in 12th. So a lot of big names kind of shuffled about the order here.
Absolutely. Steven Wilson, Zach Novak, the two segment winners, now leading segment 3 up there. Now go to the driver standing. This is segment 3. Remember, there's extra points on the line, a little money, nothing wrong with that. We go to the playoff driver standings. Obviously, Steven Wilson, 5 wins already. Tucker Minter still behind him there with the 3 wins. But look at the bottom. Donovan Strauss vaults his way in to what would now be a playoff position. You look on the other side. Before Iowa, Malik Ray was in there. He's not racing tonight due to suspension, so a lot of issues there. The team side, again, Pride Trophy, a little money on the line. Spire Motorsports continues to make a bigger gap than there was, and I'm looking at that 5th place team, Ryan. William Byron Esports. Tucker Minter had some real issues in Iowa. Nick Ottinger not having the best year, so they're falling backwards.
Yeah, just a lot of, comers and goers in that team standings. But one of the big things I'm thinking about leaving Iowa Speedway, Steven Wilson, he is 1 win away from tying Nick Ottinger for most wins on the season. And we're not even through the regular season yet. I mean, if there's anything, rescan, refresh or not, Steven Wilson can get it done. And he's proving once again, time and time again, that he will always emerge at the front of the field.
And remember, Iowa was the start of segment 3, and you get some extra points. You get some extra money if you win segment 3. You don't get many mulligans in these short segments, and guys like Tucker Minter struggled. There were other drivers. Casey Kerwin, former champion, struggled. They have dug themselves a hole early. You top that with Steven Wilson getting the win. Guys like Bobby Zielinski, some of the other playoff hopefuls, they're starting to fall back on some of those points. When this playoff resets and we have the beginning of the playoffs, Steven Wilson's going to have a massive lead if these other drivers don't start stepping it up.
Well, and you got to think of the pressure that leads onto the drivers, right? We're seeing these repeat wins from Wilson, so it's going to be interesting how that plays into the mind games for the drivers. I think Wilson's getting into a lot of people's heads, so it'll be interesting to see. But you know what else is interesting? When we get to catch up with all of our drivers, and we're going to do that in a little segment we called Rapid Fire.
My favorite active NASCAR driver is Dale Jr. because he's done a race every year. That has to count, right?
Favorite active driver is Josh Berry.
My favorite active NASCAR driver right now is Joey Logano.
Probably Ryan Blaney. My favorite active NASCAR driver is Kyle Larson. He's my hometown hero.
Kyle Larson's my favorite active driver.
Kyle Larson.
Probably Kyle Larson.
It'll be my boss, William Byron.
I got my boss, William Byron, and I'm also a big Kyle Larson fan.
My favorite active NASCAR driver is Austin Dillon.
Cole Custer.
Carson Hocevar.
I would say Raj Caruth. Raja.
There's so many good ones out there. I can't pick a favorite. You gonna make me pick a favorite?
Probably my boy Sheldon Creed.
Chase Elliott.
Bubba Wallace.
I work with Parker Kligerman on pit road, so you know what? I gotta go with Parker.
Either Kyle Larson or Ty Gibbs.
My favorite active NASCAR driver is Kyle Busch.
Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch.
Kyle Busch.
Kyle Busch.
I have always been a Kyle Busch fan, and he's the main reason that I got into the sport to begin with, so.
Denny Hamlin is my favorite driver.
Denny Hamlin.
Denny Hamlin.
Favorite active NASCAR driver, Tyler Reddick. Tyler Reddick. I'm a big dirt guy myself, so naturally I go for the dirt guys.
I don't even have a favorite. I'm just a NASCAR fan. I like everybody.
My favorite sports team is the Miami Dolphins.
The New England Patriots.
New England Patriots.
New England Patriots.
The Houston Texans. I've been rooting for them since I was a kid.
The Chicago Bears.
Probably the Pittsburgh Steelers.
The Pittsburgh Steelers.
Gotta be the Baltimore Ravens.
New Orleans Saints.
Carolina Panthers.
Detroit Lions.
The Philadelphia Eagles.
The Philadelphia Eagles.
My favorite sports team is whoever I'm betting on that day.
My favorite sports team is the Wisconsin Badgers.
Kentucky Wildcats.
The Iowa Hawkeyes.
Tennessee Volunteers. The University of North Carolina.
All the Boston teams are my favorite sports teams.
I'm gonna go Calgary Flames, NHL.
Carolina Hurricanes. Go Canes.
Oklahoma City Thunder.
My favorite sports team is the Chicago Bulls.
Lakers. Lakers is my team.
Right now it's the Sacramento Kings and also the San Francisco 49ers.
Whew, I got a lot. Chicago Cubs.
Chicago White Sox is my favorite sports team. New York Mets.
The LA Angels. They're not too great this year, but I still go to their games.
I watched a bit of baseball and went to a Dodgers game, so I'll say the Dodgers, but not like super diehard and very much a bandwagon.
Ferrari from F1.
Hendrick Motorsports.
I do not have a favorite sports team.
I definitely do not have one.
I don't watch sports, so I don't know. I watch racing.
Well, and it's funny to hear Blake say "Go Canes." He's so involved with the Carolina Hurricanes. He's actually in the booth for a couple of those games, so it's really cool to see some of the things that he does and just getting involved with local sports. But man, Alan, what are your thoughts on some of those teams that they picked out right there?
Well, hey, look, shout out to Michael Cozy Jr. I mean, the fact that his Oklahoma City Thunder just won the championship, I'm just jealous. I'm jealous that his team, he gets to revel in that. All my teams, not quite there yet, but maybe soon. But congrats to Michael.
I know he's living it up with OKC, but also racing is a sport, so yeah, I don't know.
On, Taylor, you got
right?
Come on.
What was happening there?
I can attest to this. I feel the heat inside the cars.
Yeah, we gotta talk to those guys. But for now, we're actually gonna check in with another driver from Jim Beaver Esports, Colin Keister. He's gonna be talking about this year's season, upping the competition, as well as, more that he wants to be remembered for. But before we do that, I did jump ahead. I gave you a little tease. We're going to go to Rigs. So let's go to my favorite segment, which is really hard because how did I forget this? We have Rigs right now. This one's from More Problematic. And Alan, we're getting cats.
Hey, look, I know we're supposed to look at the rig and how cool the seat is and everything. Come on, look at the cat right there. I think that cat has one of those walking collars on, so More Problematic walks his cat. We don't see a lot of people walking cats on a leash. More power to you, More Problematic. Great rig, great cat.
Yeah, I'm really wondering what this cat's favorite. Oh my God, we got dogs too. What is happening, goodness. Producers? Thank you so much, Ryan. This is the cutest dog. Can you move this dog if you want to race? I don't think so.
I know you can't move him. Look at how comfy he is. He's just, look at him. Look at the little guy. But, I love the setup here. Nice and cozy, as you could tell by the resting dog here. The nice little mouse pad arm is kind of, it's a nice little spot to relax there. So I like that right there. Good little setup here and, good little fella there too. Another one little fella.
Luis.
Yeah, little fella here, Luis. Thank you for sending this one, Alan. So cute.
Yes, very clean setup, a perfect spot for the cat to make his little bed, his or her little bed. But yeah, great setup. I can see why the cat would want to be there because it looks like an awesome place to be. Not too many cords. You have to worry about cats and cords, I think. So anytime there's an animal around, it's got to be good cable management.
Well, also, cats like that mouse, so you gotta pay attention. This is a nice and fluffy one from Domestic Canadian. Wow. Ryan, this is a fluffy one.
Yeah, this is a fluffy one. I mean, that might be one of those that have been eating those cords, but nonetheless, look at how soft and cuddly. But no, this is a perfect, this is actually really similar to my sim rig. The whole setup here, the Logitech wheels there. So really nice, comfy setup. Looks like it's in his living room right there. You see the recliner in the background. So perfect at-home setup there. Nicely done.
And our last one's coming from our very own Justin Malillo. Oh, Justin.
This is Maddie. We're gonna hear from Justin just in a few minutes, so I can't wait to hear more about Maddie. But I'm glad Justin can share his love of iRacing and esports with that beautiful, beautiful puppy. Look, he's just please pay attention to me, Maddie says. Please give me a pet. Oh, I love Maddie.
Oh.
We need to give Maddie a treat. Maddie deserves all the treats. Also, thank you all for sending your rigs on social media using the hashtag eNASCAR and tagging eNASCAR GG and at iRacing. We loved the pet edition. Keep them coming. But for now, we're going to go to check in with Colin Keister, driver for Jim Beaver Esports.
What I want people to remember me the most about is just to remember me. If they remember you, then they knew you were there. Colin Keister, and I'm from Frostburg, Maryland. This is my 5th season in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series. So the series today, I believe, is a lot more competitive than it was. 2020 was my first year. It's definitely a lot more competitive. Everybody's really close. The cars are different. you got to prepare a lot to run up front in these races. I think I can improve on my qualifying and just staying out of wrecks in general, just keeping the car clean. My biggest accomplishment would be in iRacing would be my win at Charlotte in 2020.
It is Colin Keister, clear by more than 2 seconds. He'll become the 52nd different driver to ever do it. Rookie Colin Keister at a turn 4, first career win in the Coca-Cola iRacing Series. Keister gets the Coca-Cola 300.
A tip for someone trying to get into the series would be find a good group of guys to work with, a good team that can build you good setups. I'm most looking forward to the mile and a halves, like I said, especially Charlotte. I won there a few years ago. I like Richmond and, of course, the super speedways. Tracks that aren't on the circuit that I wish were. I would like to race Chicagoland, Old Kentucky. I actually would like to race at Bristol. I don't know how good of a race that would be. Non-racing games I like playing. I play Call of Duty, Fortnite, and college football. Hobbies I have outside of video game, I like to hunt. I like to just go hang out with my friends, watch sport. I like to gamble in sports. Best pizza topping, I like buffalo chicken pizza. I actually, there's pineapple pizza. I go to this place called Mountain State back home at a brewery, and it's pretty good. My biggest motivation would be running well for my family and friends that are watching, but I'm not disappointing them. 2025 eNASCAR Coca-Cola Series champion hopefully is Colin Keister.
And that is one of my favorite segments every week, highlighting these drivers. It's great to hear more from Colin Keister, one of the good guys in the series, right? Always got a big smile. He talked about hunting, right? Well, he definitely went trophy hunting this season, getting the win over in Vegas, tentatively locking himself into the playoffs. And as we get a good look at him practicing here, a lot going into this season. Right now, he's kind of on cruise control, right? He wants to get through these races and make sure he bags as many playoff points as he possibly can, Alan.
Yeah, it was fun to see him get the victory earlier this season. He can ride that into the playoffs. And look, getting to know him, seeing him a few times off the track when we all get together, he likes to have a good time. So that's what I like about him. No matter what, win, lose, draw, he's always having a good time, no matter what, I can tell you.
Also, yeah, it just kind of makes sense that he won in Vegas, and he's a betting man, so I guess he's betting on himself.
Cha-ching.
Well, you know what we're betting on? We're betting on some good rankings from our very own iRacing staff writer, Justin Malillo. But Justin, before you get into your power rankings, we got to ask you about Maddie. How's Maddie doing?
She's doing great. She just got her checkup the other day, so that wasn't fun bringing her to the vet. But afterwards, we took a ride around for a couple of about 2-hour ride around the island. So that was she enjoyed that.
And you know what we're going to enjoy? You like to give us your power rankings. This is, what you believe, how the movement's happening with all the drivers, every race as we go. I know I checked out the article on iRacing.com, but I want you to take us through what you have updated.
Sure. Yeah. I'll start with saying that we're kind of in this power balance at the top with Steven Wilson, Tucker Minter. Right now, advantage Wilson. And if you remember back about a year ago, Dover was the place where this rivalry truly kicked off. Those two have 8 of the 10 possible wins this season, so it's tough to say how the math is going to work outside the top two for how these power rankings are entering tonight. We put Zach Novak back up to third. We keep saying it. He's right on the cusp of returning to victory lane. Another P2 finish last week. That win has to be soon, right? We got big jumps this week for Michael Cozy Jr. He was the man to beat at Iowa. Unfortunately, he did get beat by his strategy. That's what foiled his chances at a first win. But again, speed's got to pay off for a win at some point for him as well. Seth the Merchant with a big jump up this week into the top 10. We saw earlier they started the segment 3 standings. We also got Colin Keister moving back into the top 10 for now. He's been like the biggest roller coaster of a driver this season. He got that win, then he gets like a 35th, and then he's got another top 10. So it's been up and down for him. Both Bobby Zelensky, Casey Kerwin, they have been taking the biggest plunges this week in the top half of the power rankings due to some misfortunes. But while they're both still towards the top 10, good race at Dover could swing things back positively for either based on how the math currently looks. Speaking of Zelensky in particular, Jesse Wuji's ERA Esports makes a jump up on the order to second, in part thanks to Cozy's recent successes, mixed in with Bobby's prior successes. And while Femi Olatunbosin is still in the middle of the pack in points, Steven's stats are so insane that he could carry Spire Motorsports mostly by himself. ERA is one of the two teams with both drivers currently in the playoff picture, the other being the defending champs at it last season. Williams with Donovan Strauss and Parker White up there. But Femi isn't too far out, and he should be able to get back up there. It would more than solidify Spire's status at the top. Don't count out Travis Pastrana's Channel 199 team either. A small slump for Dylan Duval has the team down since the last time I was on here, but if you believe in lucky paint schemes, Dylan's back in the black track racer machine, so perhaps that could be the key to getting him back into the playoff conversation. Also, one last note on William Byron Esports. They fell down to 5th this week because of a bad night for Minter last week at Iowa. I don't think that will last. Plus, if there's anywhere his teammate could get back on the wagon, Nick Ottinger holds many records here at the Virtual Monster Mile, and it's still not too late to save his season. And if I see correctly here, he was top of the board in final practice, so that could be a good sign for him.
All right, with all that said, I know, Ryan, you always like to jump in with Justin. What do you think of all those stats before we move on?
Yeah, no, the biggest thing that stands out to me is that the Merchant jumping into the top 10. We're heading to a drafting chat at Go Park Speedway. He's going to be one of the favorites going into that race, but I'm also looking at Bobby Z sitting in P8 with the winner at Talladega and a couple road courses looming, Chicago as well. So it's going to get a little interesting once we kind of see how that shakes up, Alan.
Yeah, those team standings. Good to see ERA moving up when you get both drivers really flowing. And congrats to Jesse Iwuji. He just got a promotion in his Navy position. So that good news all around for that team. And seeing William Byron Esports, they're just hanging on to the top 5, I think, in those power rankings. Another bad week from either Tucker or Nick Ottinger. I think they fall out. So both those drivers need to bring it tonight.
Well, thank you, Justin, for bringing us those power rankings. We love it when you're on the show. But for now, we're going to check in with another driver, Blaze Crawford, the rookie from Team Dillon.
The 2025 eNASCAR Coca-Cola Series champion is going to be me, yours truly. My name is Blaze Crawford, and I'm from Phoenix, Arizona. This will be my rookie season in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series. If I could get a couple wins and potentially be there in the playoffs, that would be complete success for my first season in the series. Definitely looking forward to Daytona or Talladega. Love the plate tracks, the racing's awesome, high intensity the whole time. I'm not a big fan of road courses, so any road courses on the schedule, I'm definitely not looking forward to. For me, it means that I've proved myself worthy of being one of the 40 best drivers in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series. It shows me that I give myself a big opportunity to make a name for myself out there and promote myself and seek more opportunity going forward with the platform I've been given. Favorite Coca-Cola product is just the straight-up original Coca-Cola. Can't get much better than that. One thing I wish I would have been told before I started is just to trust the process. It's not a quick thing that, you're not going to pick it up and be the best at it in 1-2 years. It's going to take time. It's going to take a lot of studying and working on your craft. So really, the one thing I wish I would have been told is that, for like a time frame, how long it would take to get to the top level. I want to be remembered as someone who brought an awesome face to the series, brought something new and fresh to the series, and remembered for being one of the best. The first NASCAR video game I played would have been NASCAR Dirt to Daytona on the PlayStation. My biggest motivation is to prove everyone wrong and show that I'm valuable and worth being here.
Well, it's always great hearing from one of the fresh faces here in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. Blaze Crawford currently sitting comfortably in the top 20, so above that regulation line that we talk about come season's end. And also, the big thing here, he is leading the rookie standings by 2 points, I believe, over Connor Euroshak. So, nonetheless, a pretty solid rookie campaign for Blaze.
And that's a great paint scheme tonight. I just have to point that out. I mean, it just stood out to me. I want to see that on a Sunday car, IRL. I mean, it's just beautiful scheme. So let's make
Coca-Cola, please.
Yeah, come on.
Make it happen. Make it happen. Well, we're getting close to race time, and we got to go through what to expect at Dover, the monster that is Dover. Ryan, take us through the track.
Oh yeah, Dover Motor Speedway, one of the most difficult racetracks on the circuit. This place is 1 mile long. The banking in the corners is a very steep 24 degrees, and the front and back stretch are banked at 9 degrees. That doesn't sound like a lot, but I promise you that there is not a single ounce of this racetrack where you are going flat, I guess you could say, right? Where there's no banking. This place opened in 1969, and last year's winner was, I mean, come on. Is it up for debate anymore? Steven Wilson got it done last season.
He knows how to get it done, but Alan, we got to know what happens at Dover historically.
Yeah, look, there's a lot of good trends for this Monster Mile. The pole setter has finished in the top 3 7 times. Qualifying matters here. 4 of those 7 finishes are wins, dating all the way back to 2012. You see it down there, 2014, 2022, 2023. I believe those last 2 are Nick Ottinger, who sounds very fast tonight, so we'll see how he does in qualifying. The Dover winner has an average, get this, an average of 3 race wins per year. Steven Wilson won last year, as we told you. He had 4 wins that season. He's already got 5. So if he won tonight, he would actually up the average for Dover winners in terms of season wins. So pretty good. The Dover winner has made the playoffs every single year. Only the 2022 winner did not make the championship 4. So you have success at Dover, usually says something good about the rest of your season. We'll see what it does this year. 4 Dover winners have won the championship in the same season. Michael Conti, Kenny Humpy, Ryan Luza, and Nick Ottinger. Again, Nick Ottinger, so much success here, seeing what he can do. He really needs it to bounce back tonight, but he has won here and then went on to win the championship back in 2020. Can he get some of that back? And you're looking at him again. One active driver has multiple wins, and we mean multiple. Nick Ottinger, 2013, 2020, 2022, 2023. If he wants to salvage the season, he's got to get the win tonight and really start clawing his way back into the top 20. But if there's anyone that can do it at a track like this, he seems to own this place. He's just got to beat Steven Wilson to do it.
Oh, it's going to be really difficult, but I think a lot of drivers are clawing for a good finish because they want that championship. They want to be in championship 4. But let's talk about where we want to be. Of course, winning in our picks. Unfortunately, I am not.
That's a good number. Look at that.
Hey, I'm closing the gap. I had a good Iowa.
Baby steps.
Yeah, we're getting there. We're clawing away at it.
You did win the tiebreaker for Iowa, but we also got some points for the Steven Wilson win. So, okay, I'm slowly making a comeback. But for now, Ryan, you got to tell us who's your pick for Dover.
Man, we've been talking about him all night long. You got to strike the iron while it's hot. I'm going with Steven Wilson. Steven Wilson has been consistently running at the front. He is last season's winner. Look, refresh or not, he's going to be at the front. It's an easy choice. Bingo, free space.
It is an easy choice, but is it the best choice? Look, when you think about all the success that Tucker Minter has had here, when you think about his teammate Nick Ottinger, all the success that he has had here, reveal my pick and show me. I went Tucker. I should have picked Nick Ottinger. I mean, his teammate's doing really good, but Tucker needs a bounce back. We talked about he's already dug himself a huge hole in terms of segment 3. He's got to start crawling his way back. So I like the matchup tonight, Ryan. We have Steven Wilson versus Tucker Minter.
Well, you know what? I think you froze Ryan there for a second, but I want to say I also went with Steven Wilson just because, I mean, he's so close to breaking that record for the win. So for the most wins in a season, and if he wins tonight, he will tie that. And then he has 8 more races in order to break that record. So I'm rooting for the man. I think he could do it. He did it last year. So let's go. But we do have a pole sitter. And it is Nick Ottinger. Are we going to be seeing a fight for who holds the record?
Yeah,
Oh, man.
Producer Drew's bragging. He's like, you should have picked
Yeah.
him. We know. But I think Ryan saw my pick of Tucker Minter and like threw his phone. That's what just happened just now.
Yeah,
he
got
he
so mad.
swiped his camera away. He was mad because he knows I'm
No,
going to win.
the problem was because I just knew your pick was that bad. So, my phone gave up. But you know what? It's all good. I'm ready for some action here at Dover today.
Yes, we all are, and we're gonna have to see who comes on top. And this race is really gonna be an interesting one, and you're gonna want to stay tuned right after this commercial break, where Evan and Jake are gonna join in the fun and deliver the race ahead. So be sure to grab a snack and stay tuned right after this break. Thank you for watching Countdown to Green.
Every time you sit behind the wheel, you buckle up for the unexpected. You get ready to take on the competition and brace yourself for the chaos, the speed, the weather, the unknown. But above all, when strapping in, you put trust in yourself, your intuition. Make it your guide to win, your drive to win.
He's a winner in this.
And nothing is going to stop you from winning.
Welcome to Truck Country, where sweat becomes fuel, bumpers become bruisers, and pedals become pedestals. Where a future is written, one lap at a time, and burned into history. Welcome to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series.
Steven Wilson, the Hawkeye State native, undefeated at his home racetrack, winner again in Iowa.
Every single moment, caught up in the motion, got no use for caution. Hope you're ready for a fight. I believe it, I can see it. If it's in my sights, I achieve it. Ain't no leaving, no defeating. Show up, complete, and repeat it. I believe it, I can see it. If it's in my sights, I achieve it. Ain't no leaving, no defeating. Show up, complete, and repeat it. Every day, prove that game. I always go 100%. Start to end. Every day, prove that game. I always go 100%. Start to end.
The road to $500,000 is ready for a heavyweight fight with Miles the Monster. Tonight from iRacing's virtual Dover Motor Speedway, we say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to round 11 of the 2025 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. Well, there are only 4 races left to go in the regular season. It is getting real on these Tuesday nights, and as always, happy that you're a part of it with us here on eNASCAR.com. With Jake Sperry, myself, Evan Pasoko, as always, Jake, and it was an exciting one a week ago. Steven Wilson's dominant 2025 continued with a win at his hometown track, and now we go to one of the tracks that we have been to more than many on the calendar, a 12th visit in series history to Dover. A lot of this series' biggest names very familiar with this place.
It's very much a known quantity, and that will be a boon to some and a bane to others. When it comes to this track, it has that air of a cauldron. It is difficult. It is meant to be a circuit that challenges, and that's why we come here so often, because it forces each and every single driver here tonight to go, well, can you be out there at your best? And there are some who are specialists and some others who are looking at today going, well, let's see if we can survive first and foremost.
A lot of the chatter on social media for the drivers was, can we get through this one unscathed? You see where we fall on this 2025 calendar. Again, only 4 races left to go in the regular season as a whole. But for drivers who have already locked themselves into the playoffs, Jake, still stakes here in segment number 3, because just like the 5-race segment 1 and 4-race segment 2 earlier, there are playoff bonus points and cash on the line to a segment 3 title. That's going to be going on all at the same time as we start counting down who is in and who is out by the time we get to Echo Park in August.
Listen, this segment 3 is all about no guarantees. There's no guarantee from race week to race week that you've got an opportunity to put 2 consecutive races on the board. They are 5 very different circuits back to back to back to back to back. And so if you want to be at your best, you are being challenged at every facet of your driving. For example, next week, Chicago Street Circuit, how good are you on the road? That's a completely different challenge to what you've got here today on what is a case of a circuit that does pretty much throw everybody up and say, can you hold on? I am really looking forward to this racing action today from Dover Motor Speedway.
And as always, NASCAR Fan Awards members joining us. Your member code for tonight's race, Dover, 8 p.m. That's exactly what it is right now. Enter that on your member dashboard. Lock in your 50 points. And again, if you have still not signed up, I know we're getting late in the season, but there's still got time. Scan the QR code on the screen or visit NASCAR.com/fan rewards to get started. Well, a couple of drivers not going to be on the grid tonight. Let's take a look at your fill-in driver update for Dover. Matthew Morton will be replacing Logan Clampett tonight, who is serving a suspension. Malik Ray also suspended 1 week. He'll be replaced by Agnell Phillip. Both Agnell and Matthew finished top 30 in Contender last season, did not get selected through the open free agency period. They are both making their Coke Series debuts tonight. And Matthew Zawak, who competed in this series last year, he is in field tonight. He is replacing Briar LaPrade. Brian announced on social media earlier today that he would be missing tonight's race after the unexpected passing of his dad, Bob. He said in part that his dad was his fishing buddy, racing buddy, and his best friend. He's not competing with us tonight, and our thoughts and prayers are with Briar, his family, and his friends during this challenging time. Well, let's head trackside and take a look at tonight's Coca-Cola starting grid. And it is the king of the Monster Mile, maybe, Nick Ottinger, second pole position of the season. He will bring us to the green in the William Byron Esports number 25. Jimmy Mullis alongside him on row number 1. The KHI Inc. number 29 starts along in P2. Row number 2, we'll see the FGRXL eRacing number 12 of Ryan Luza. He's lined up next to the Kanani Sports number 11 of Vicente Salas. Nick Ottinger's teammate for William Byron Esports, Tucker Minters, number 97, lines up from the inside of row number 3. He's next to the BS Competition 89. That's Jordy Lopez.
And over then to row 4, and it is a bit stacked here as you go through rows 4 through 6. Casey Kerwin will line up 7th with winner already this season, Colin Keister, in 8th position. You've then got Taylor Hurst in 9th with Dylan Duval in the 199 car for Channel 199. There, Travis Pastrana's team has a driver in 10th. Michael Cozy Jr. and Bobby Zelensky will be there together, crucially, for ERA.
It's rookie fever on this next slide. Zach Novak, not one of them. The veteran for Channel 199 Sim Racing brings his number 2 to the grid for the inside of row 7. And then the highest starting rookie, it's Christopher Hill and the Apex Racing team, number 96. Behind them, another veteran in the Kevin Harvick Inc. 62. It's Matt Busa. He's next to rookie for Jim Beaver Esports, the number 5 of Nate Stewart. And keeping with that trend, Connor Yarashak, the rookie for Letard Esports, his number 40 starts inside of row number 9, next to the BS Competition 99. That's Garrett Lowe.
And then you've got Spire cars on the field here as we go down into the mid-pack where you don't want to be. Femi Alatin-Bosun and Cody Bias making up the top 20. And what a star-stacked 11th row of the grid with Parker White and your championship leader, Steven Wilson, looking for just one more victory to tie the all-time record for most wins in a season. Then it's Agnel Phillip and Quentin Warman there in 24th.
Continuing on through, Seth the Virgin finds himself inside row number 13 in his FGRXL eRacing 14. He's next to the Kansas City Pioneers, number 48 of Mr. Graham Bolin. Eddie Kerner ahead of a 6 Karma duo. He's inside of row 14 next to the Atlassian Williams Sim Racing for Donovan Strauss. And then Eddie's teammate Daniel, the 39 for 6 Karma, is inside of row 15. The RFK Racing number 6 of Colin Bowden rolls from P30.
Kwame Scott then is on row 16 with Blaze Crawford, the rookie there on the outside. Then it's Alexander Russell for Canaan Esports and Michael Guest then for Vegas Inferno. Timmy Holmes is down there on row 18 with Dylan Alt, who's just fallen outside of the top 10.
And then a couple of the fill-in drivers make up the back four. Matthew Morton, making his first career Coke Series start, is inside row number 19 for E-Racer. That team, of course, headed Parker Kligerman, Landon Castle, they're watching on. Next to the Junior Motorsports 8 of Blake McCandless, Tyler Gary's 39th, and then Matthew Zawak filling in. He finds himself in the number 40 position. Well, we heard about Nick Ottinger's prowess here at Dover Motor Speedway, a 4-time race winner, looking to make it 5. Well, he's got the best seat in the house. The Logitech G Chevrolet starts from position number 1, and our James Pike is caught up with him.
A very familiar place for Nick Ottinger at Dover Motor Speedway, on pole yet again in his career. Nick, compared to past races at Dover, does your approach to tonight change? Is it any different from previous events here in the past?
Well, good question, James. I think realistically, I think there's a lot of still unknowns with the new physics update, tire update that we had a couple weeks back. So I would say it's aligning to be similar to years past because you're still wearing the tire pretty quick here. So it's still going to be a tire management style race. But yeah, I mean, we've done a lot of effort in this 25 Logitech G team. Happy to get us a good starting position. Name of the game, obviously, of this track is just keep yourself there at the end, and you know anything can happen. Just like Iowa, we could pit, have a missed time, yellow, and put us behind the 8 ball. It's pretty much been our year, but yeah, we're gonna put our best foot forward, and luckily we got a car in the front row.
3 poles, 4 front row starts, and 4 victories in his Coke Series career. There is no driver that has a better record at an individual track than Nick Ottinger has at Dover. And if there is a night for him to turn his season around, Evan and Jake, tonight might be that night.
I was going to say he's hungry for seconds, but in this case, I think he's hungry for fifths. Already is a 4-time race winner. And not only does he have all of those victories here at Dover spread across his career, but he's also won the last 2 races here at Dover. Of course, Jake, that means he is perfect in the next-gen car here at this racetrack as we take a look at the Logitech G race format.
Well, if you want to be perfect, this is the place where you got to do it. 120 laps worth of racing today, which quite nicely is 120 miles. Watch for that pit road speed, just 35 miles an hour, and it's a big drop off the banking onto pit road. They get 3 tyre sets additional to play with, and that pit window about lap 65 to 68. So 1-stop window. You win a last time out, Steven Wilson.
So Steven Wilson has been to victory lane many times this year. What a story it would be if the dominant driver in Dover could meet up with the dominant driver of the season. Nick Ottinger's been itching to turn around this 2025 season. Maybe a little bit of home cooking at one of his favorite racetracks will do just the trick. Lights out on the pace car, coming to the green flag this time through. Last of the concrete challenges in this 2025 season. And for some of the drivers who have not been in the limelight this year, count it 4 more shots and making the playoffs this season. Pace car down and in. Nick Ottinger in control of the field as they roll at a turn number 4. Let's go racing at Dover. Saw some sparks off of either Ottinger or Mullis as they came off at 2, but your pole sitter Ottinger clear for the race lead at the end of the first mile.
A perfect start then for Nick Ottinger. Jimmy Mullis is the one giving chase. Vicente Salas was saying just before getting going he's actually got his shifter fixed, so he's very much in play and wants to be starting to find a lot of work. High up on the wall, trying to battle former champion Ryan Loser for position, and this is going to be a race to the bottom to start here as drivers look to fix what they can, and already you're seeing the gaps forming and a little bit of a push further back there, as well as Casey Kerwin is on the bottom right now with Bobby Zelensky and co. all starting to try and think about where they want to be.
And that iRacing drone, as it chases them around this racetrack, makes the corners look not that steep, but it is 24 degrees of banking. It is a mammoth amount of banking. This racetrack was asphalt back in the day from 69 to 1994, but from 95 on through now, this unique concrete surface has been giving many drivers problems. And that's why for a lot of them tonight, focus, survival, and get through this one without incident. This is back in the mid-20s, a couple of pairs of 2x2s. Still watching Garrett Logran bowling side by side. Up front now off of the back, a race leader, Nick Ottinger. He is led from the jump. Jimmy Mullis stayed P2, but Vicente Salas started on the outside of row 2 and 4th. He was able to best Ryan Luza off of the restart, so that is a early position gained for the 11 Toyota, who sits now in third.
Yeah, so he's certainly having a wonderful run as we take a look at the two William Byron Esports cars, because William Byron is hosting the Esports Bracket Challenge presented by Logitech G, a third annual attempt at this, which Stephen Wilson, believe it or not, is winning everything this season, won last year. The fans, of course, have the opportunity to fill out their brackets starting at noon tomorrow to win $5,000 in prizes, including Logitech G equipment, iRacing credits, William Byron Esports prize back, and 2 garage and pit passes to an upcoming NASCAR Cup race. It starts July 1st in Chicago and September 2nd with the eNASCAR race in Texas. Fans can enter the bracket by beginning noon tomorrow at williambyron.com and all the way up until the green flag dropping in Chicago, 8 p.m. Eastern on July 1st.
And it's going to be a lot of fun, right? NASCAR's got the in-season challenge going on right now. I don't want to say eNASCAR beat into the punch, right? But it's the third annual one here, so we're familiar with it, and that's going to be a lot of fun to enter. I'm going to fill out a bracket, if not just for fun. I don't know if we're allowed to win prizes if we enter it, but I was driving that new Logitech G Pro racing wheel a couple of weeks ago at a convention. That thing's nice. Maybe I can win myself one of those for the desk. Logitech G, great partner of this series. Happy to have them on board with that for another season. And both of their cars running good right now. Tucker's exactly where he started in 5th, and Nick is exactly where he started in 1st. Not so smooth sailing, though, for this conglomerate of drivers. Is that 3 wide to the tail end of that shot? That's a gutsy move around P20 here at Dover. As you focus on the battle, it includes everybody from 14th spot on back. The 77 of Stephen Wilson jumps out there. He has already made moves around 9 race cars. Started 22nd, book at 13th last time by, and we are only 9 laps complete.
Well, we talk about this being a qualifying circuit, one where you've got to be up there at the front. Tap from Donovan Strauss a little bit back there has sent one car flying backwards through the field. I think that's Michael Cozy Jr., who's dropped about 6 or 7 places. But you're seeing the work that Wilson's doing already, going up top on the driver he beat last week, Zach Novak, for position, imagining that. But look up to the front, because suddenly it's a 2-car tandem pulling away. Nick Ottinger is dragging Jimmy Mullis.
Jimmy Mullis doing a good job of sticking with the leader. They've been able to gap third place car Vicente Salas about 0.8 of a second. The difference between the top 2 breakaway. And now we'll see what the MO for Jimmy Mullis is going to be. Is he putting the pressure on Nick Ottinger, wanting to get a move, trying to get to the clean air early? Or is he just wanting to keep enough pressure on the 25 and Nick to make that 25 sweat a little bit, maybe work that car a little bit more aggressively early in the run? 120 laps here at Dover, by far not the shortest race of the year. It ain't the longest one, but you still have to pace yourself throughout. You mentioned the moment down in turns 3 to 4. We'll take a second look. It was indeed Michael Cozy Jr. on the bottom in 3. It looked like, I don't know if Strauss had some help into 3 to kick it off, but then he certainly got into the left rear of Cozy, and You can count him at least 4 or 5 spots lost in that instant. It was a good recovery for Cozy. He's still going, but he's going to have to fight to get those spots back.
Yeah, that was a strong push by Nate Stewart in the 5, who was really trying to make something happen there. So very much a case for Donovan Strauss of trying to get the car woed up and then realizing, hang on, I've got an extra couple mile an hour in the back pocket. I've got to try and deploy the parachute. Didn't have enough time. Jimmy Mullis then for Kevin Harvick Inc. in second position, having a very nice run. He's been a little bit absent over the course of this season in terms of his finishes, sort of been ghosting about in the middle, but it's nice to see Jimmy Mullis up there on top and doing a very good job, and that is how your playoff points look on the right-hand side, and you can see that gap there. It's a case of now Jordi Lopez, who's going to be on the way in by just 3 points.
And it's worth noting that at the moment, you see all 4 race winners so far this season represented at the top of the screen. You mentioned earlier there were points where Colin Keister had won a race but was not top 20. So he's currently top 20 in points. That allows him to jump up. That is still a big note, because if he were to drop out, it would open up an extra spot in points. Nick Ottinger not in that position. You wonder, well, he's leading this race, so why isn't he there? Exact same reason I had mentioned from earlier in the season with those other drivers. You need to be top 20 for a race win to count. Nick Ottinger is not currently a driver scored in the top 20 in points. That does not mean this win is not consequential. You want to win it, you want to bank the points for it, and then go points racing for the next 3 weeks. So it is still just as critical, but at least at this moment in time, Nick Ottinger not a top 20 driver in the standings. When we took that peek, I think the 15th place car was the man in second. Jimmy Mullis is not in on points, but is close enough that if he wins a race, he would be able to qualify for the automatic bid. So there are a lot at stake for those drivers inside of the top 2. And we were talking about one of the Kevin Harvick Inc. cars inside of the top 2. We jump back on board with his teammate Busa. One more reminder for NASCAR Fan Rewards members, tonight's code Dover 8 p.m. Enter that on your member dashboard. Lock in your 50 points. And if you're not signed up yet, go to NASCAR.com/fan rewards or scan the QR code. Never too late to get in on the fun.
No, absolutely not. And I imagine Nick Ottinger's position right now is kind of like getting a college scholarship out there. It's a case of, yes, you do have a place to college, but you've got to make sure that your GPA is at the highest level possible so that you can go in and say, right, I've got enough to say I can go to college and go get what I want. But I'm just taking a look here up there. That's Stephen Wilson trying to find a way around Casey Kerwin and finally getting that launch. Stephen Wilson's been the only driver looking to experiment by going right up to the top of the circuit, using all of the banking and trying to attack down the hill once again off the exits of 2 and 4 to try and get that run off the exits of the corners. I haven't seen many other drivers starting to make that happen, but now that we say it here, now that we're 20 laps into the stint, drivers are starting to experiment because that bottom line is getting a little bit too rubbered in. Everyone's starting to work to the top, now to the bottom goes Stephen Wilson. Now it's Dylan Duval's turn to find out how good the movement's been. This is to go 13, lucky for some.
When you look at the old-time series wins as of 2025, of course, Ray Alfala stands atop, 27 to his name, but a couple of drivers still in this series and active competitors. Stephen Wilson rapidly climbing up the line. If he could get one more, he would tie Mike Conti. That would be for the number 5 spot on the all-time wins list. And then 2 drivers who are running inside of the top 10 in the race right now. With Nick Ottinger, Ryan Luza, Bobby Zelensky, they are all in the mix. And you talk about most race wins in a single season. Well, Stephen Wilson has already locked in 5. Look at the years, though, that those other ones have happened. 2012, 15, 16, 17, a whole lot has changed. This series has gotten, I'll say it, way more competitive than those mid-2010s. Not that they weren't competitive, but for just how cutthroat, Jake, it is to qualify for this series now, to see Stephen Wilson making numbers that you can put in the same conversation as the likes of Alfala, Humpy, Sturgis, and others is quite impressive.
It very much is. I just want to remind drivers that those 6 wins, by the way, that were picked up for Nick Ottinger, he didn't win the title that season, so it tells you all you need to know about how competitive each and every race is. There's a look at Stephen Wilson, just inside the top 10, and looking again here at the likes of Dylan Duval, Bobby Zelensky in front of that, and a bit of too wide there in front as Jordi Lopez had a little sniff at Tucker Minter. Good run off the exit, and again, trying to work down low to get the move done, and that will be another one, but keep an eye down low again. Caution comes out, though, for the first time, and that will put the end to that.
Matthew Zawak, the driver around in the Ledford Billiard Supply Chevrolet for Junior Motorsports. Matthew filling in tonight, as we mentioned, for Briar LaPrade, who's not in the car. A tough break for Matthew Zawak, who finished 29th in this Coke Series last season. And then when he went down to the Contender Series, finished 11. That would normally guarantee qualification, but of course with the new free agency period, ended up on the backup list, not how he wanted to start his fill-in duties. But it's an early yellow here at Dover Motor Speedway. So far, it has been all Nick Ottinger. The number 25 Logitech G Chevy for William Byron Esports continues to lead the way early.
Every time you sit behind the wheel, you buckle up for the unexpected. You get ready to take on the competition and brace yourself for the chaos, the speed, the weather, the unknown. But above all, when strapping in, you put trust in yourself, your intuition. Make it your guide to win, your drive to win.
He's a winner in this.
And nothing is going to stop you from winning.
Welcome to A Whole Lot More on the Line. More drivers going head-to-head means more stakes, more grit, and more to prove. The challenge is on. 32 drivers enter $1 million showdown. 5 races of bracket-busting matchups. More pressure, more risk, and more reward. Only on TNT and streaming on Max. Welcome to the In-Season Challenge. Welcome to NASCAR.
This portion of the broadcast is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR. Logitech G. For design, engineering, and a love of driving games, Logitech G takes racing simulation to another level. Logitech G, the official wheel and pedals of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series. And by Sunoco. From fueling your favorite NASCAR teams to filling up at the pump, Sunoco is trusted to help vehicles perform at their peak. Sunoco. Performance is what we do.
It was a mixed strategy decision when the field came down to pit road under the commercial break. Some drivers opted for 4 tires, others opted for 2, and it's 2 for Salas, who's your new leader. Green flag back in the air. He gets off fine through the gears through turns 1 and 2. Salas clear for P1. Keister gets second. Ryan loses, sits now in third. It's trouble behind. There's a spinner. Caution to flag number 2. It's Daniel Falkingham.
Yeah, as quick as that, we talk about how you get a caution here at Dover. You need to find yourself room on the restart, and this is a circuit where it is very easy to spin up the tyres to get yourself around, and all incidents fall to the bottom. The good news is it's an incident that happens at the back rather than the front, and we've seen two lots of that. The big worry that all of these drivers are having is, what happens if this incident happens in the middle? What happens if this incident happens in the front, and how does everyone else avoid it? The fact that these two incidents have happened at the back, yes, it chops up the run, but for the moment, it's a case of count some laps, save that fuel, and get into strategy, because they've still got their main pit stop to put into mind, and at the moment, you're thinking 45, and going, yeah, that's not too bad at the moment.
We'll wait to get a second look at that one. Falkenham, by the way, took 4 tires on pit road, so not a tire issue, but cold tires, challenging, and you'll see as he comes off at 2, he's very low, just loses it on his own. The corner is so unique here at Dover. Most racetracks, when you come off the banking, you feel like you're coming down the hill. Here at Dover, you feel like you're coming up out of the hill. Very distinct hump on the exit at turn number 2. It got that car sideways. The damage, I think, is going to stay pretty minimal. I only see a little bit of damage on the left front of that car. Again, you don't want any. But all things considered, that could have been a lot worse. Thankfully, he was at the back of the pack. And to your point, older X at Dover go to the bottom. This self-cleaning racetrack will take any spinning car and dump it down low. The reason it does that is, well, because not only is it heavily banked in the corners at 24 degrees, but 9 degrees on the straightaways is more banky than most racetracks have on the straights. That's why you saw that car head right down to the bottom. Let's take another replay look at what happened off of the restart.
Well, so here's a little bit of afters on the straight coming over to the line. That looks like Kwame Scott there that has been caught up. So this would be Matthew Zwack caught up in that. So generally trying to avoid everything and then trying to get through all of the melee. There's the 360 and the caution coming out. So that would have been how that came to play. But this is a circuit where, because it's banked everywhere to the tune of 9 degrees at a bare minimum and up to 24 degrees through the corners, it's a case of each and every time you go around, you're never truly holding the wheel like you would do at other places. You've always got to focus, and if you want to focus on everything that is eNASCAR, you can log on to eNASCAR.com today to keep up to date with standings and schedules and learn how to join the eNASCAR community.
When we first saw that second replay, was the second look at the first caution flag before we stepped aside. When I first saw that it was Zawak around, right, a little bit disappointed, making his first start of the season. And then I saw the replay, and I think that was probably as good as that could have possibly ended for him. He was able to avoid the spinning car on the road, keep it off the wall on the outside. So good piece of driving for him to just keep that thing in this race. And all 40 drivers who started this race still scored on the lead lap. Now, because a caution flag came out within 1 lap of the restart, race control will make single file restart procedures for this time by. That will continue until a full lap is complete. So again, if we continue to get any cautions without a full lap being completed, we will stay in single file restart protocol. What that's going to do is prevent some of the side-by-side through 1 and 2, but we'll see if anybody wants to make the dive regardless. 33 laps going to be in the books this time by Vicente Salas, enjoying the view from up front. Green flag in the air. Looks like that 4th car in line, Duval, did not get a good jump. The top 3 have a small break.
Yeah, it's a critical break there for Salas, Keister, and Loser, and they'll need that extra 2 car lengths, which that's brought together, but you can wrangle that back here through the banking, through 3 and 4 and make it work. And so that's where you're starting to find that drivers can now start to work hard. They can now start to bring themselves into play. And now watch the 4 tyre look go. Here comes Nick Ottinger down low, trying to find a way on Stephen Wilson, who looks high, trying to find a way on Dylan Duval. Attack or be attacked at the moment. Tight, coming off for 2.
And Nick Ottinger, to your point, first driver on those 4 fresh tires. Everybody in front of him opted to go for 2. And in fact, only 2 cars in the top 10 wanted 4. It's Nick Ottinger P6. It's Jimmy Mullis P7. They were running first and second when they came down pit road. do those extra Goodyear tires give them the ability now to make up for the track position that they lost. The man on the move right now, though, is Steven Wilson to the inside, and a clinical overtake on Dylan Duval. The driver who started back in 22nd spot is now all the way up to position number 4, by far the biggest mover so far.
Yeah, having a wonderful drive through the first 37 laps worth of racing, 18 spaces gained, and absolutely finding this as easy as you like. And when you won here last year, you're looking to try and repeat favour out there. It's very much a case of managing it up into the wall. That's not going to be very helpful there for Nick Ottinger. You've got to be careful about avoiding that too many times. Duval hugging the bottom line. It works for the moment. Loose again off the exit of 2 there for Nick Ottinger. He's got to be very careful about that. At front, second and third, we keep focus on because Keister and Loser now with about 3/10 of a gap, half a second now here towards 6/7 for Vicente Salas.
And Keister really took advantage of that strategy call, started this race in the number 8 spot, up now in P2, so wanting to make the track position work. Maybe he has the moment to breathe because it looks like Ryan Luza is going to have to play some defense before he can go on the offensive. That is Steven Wilson closing into the bumper of the number 12 Toyota. Is a battle for third place afoot. And 77 has been picking drivers off left and right. And again, he goes higher in the corner than anybody else seemingly will. It's going to give him a run off of turn number 2. Slicing down to the inside in 3. Here's where he made the move on Keister, a lap and change ago. He cannot, though, slide up in front of Luza. The 12 saw it coming and aggressively fights back on the outside.
Ryan Luza's been here before. He knows how to deal with it, but Steven Wilson keeping up. He actually moves up half a lane up there through 1 and 2. He's trying to make the work here for Ryan Luza. Take a longer line to go through. Big power dive down through. Now here comes the understeer, and I wonder whether there's just a little bit of air being pushed in by Colin Keister being cheeky, trying to make life difficult here for Steven Wilson to make as much too wide as possible.
And that 15 rides on the bottom means that the 77 is going to have a little bit more dirty air to the nose of that car than the 12 Velouz is going to be doing up top. Again, that 77 has made up his time on the outside. When he's gone to the bottom, it's been to kind of quickly get the pass done and then get back up top. So I think Luza has the preferred lane between these two, but I think the 77 of Wilson has the better race car right now. Again, both these drivers took 2, so this is a straight up fight for third and fourth position, and the longer this carries on, as again the 77 slides up center of the corner to try to squeeze the 12, the more they fight, the further out in the front that Colin Keister machine's going to go, and that is a successful defense for Ryan Luza. Clear back for the number 3 spot. Wilson will have to get in line and try again, and Nick Ottinger, you saw the onboard, the car in P5 now closing in also.
That is a masterclass of defensive driving there by Ryan Luza. Steven Wilson went to every single trick in the eNASCAR Sim Racers hand guide of how you get that place and couldn't quite manage it. Mark of Ryan Luza as a driver. It brings Ottinger and Mullis backing close together, and that's what Steven Wilson's trying to run away from, those on the 4 tyres. And we saw a bit of 2 wide back there between Duval and Latin Boson, the second of the Spire cars there. So we still got a lot to deal with. And back in the pack, here's a look at Matthew Morton subbing in for Logan Clampett here today, right on the back of the trains right now in 34th position and trying everything possible here to try and move on up. But when you're back in the pack, you just got to figure out, well, how do I go one place at a time?
And it's his first start here in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. It is also career start number 1 for that man right there, Agno Phillip, out of Brooklyn, New York, driving in place of Malik Ray for the Vegas Inferno. He's back in the number 35 spot right now, so he and Morton pretty much nose to tail. Matthew Zwack faring a little bit better than both of those drivers. He's in 32nd, looking for some more. And remember, he's trying to bounce back from being involved in the first caution flag of the night. Matthew, not a rookie to this series. Mentioned it earlier. He competed in this series full-time in 2024. Back up to the ongoing battle for third as we see the update on those fill-in drivers, bottom right of your screen. Ryan Luza continuing to hold off the challenges from Steven Wilson and others. Has that battle simmered down? We have not seen a counterpunch from Wilson in a few laps. Maybe he wants to settle in for a little bit, not work those tires over too much, and then try again. It was impressive stuff at Luza. And for the drivers who decided to take the 2 tires, Salas, Keister, Luza, Wilson, they all leapfrogged Nick Ottinger and Jimmy Mullis with that decision. They don't appear to be struggling with that tire difference at all.
No, they don't. I'll tell you who is making moves right now. It's the 4 of Donovan Strauss, who's now up into 8th position, passing Femi Alatumbosan for that place. So I think they're stuck in that Greco-Roman wrestling lock at the moment when it's a test of strength and nobody can go forward. There is Donovan Strauss in the Atlassian Williams sim racing car out there at the moment, looking to make a lot of progress in the Chevrolet and doing a great job, moving from 28th to 8th. The biggest mover now in the field, 20. Mark them up, 20 to the good.
And congratulations are in order as you go on board with that Atlassian Williams Sim Racing team car for Donovan Strauss, who got engaged this week to his fiancee Laurel. So congrats to Donovan and Laurel on their engagement. Great to see him competing with us here tonight, and probably feeling pretty good. That's a big week in that young man's life, so he's feeling it right now, both on and off of the racetrack. He gets another position picked off there, make it plus 21 spots for Donovan Strauss.
Oh,
7.
Wow, Steven Wilson getting loose. He made the move down the inside at 1 on Ryan Luza, and Luza was having none of that block pass, gives him a little shove to the back to say, no, you're not getting by me like that, and decides, you know what, we're going to play that game. And look at that, Steven Wilson fires back and retaliates going into the corner, making sure that Ryan Luza's going to have none of that, but he's gone a bit deep because Luza is going to come straight back. 2 Titans going at it here in front of Miles the Monster.
They've each been able to give a shot to one another. Is it all fair, or is this far from over? Speed on the outside. Wilson is able to take the spot back once more. He now ends up finally in the number 3 position. We'll call it 4th time's the charm. Now, will he be able to run away from Ryan Luza? It appears those cars gap at each other pretty quickly now. I think Wilson felt like he was the better race car in that scenario, was tired of getting held up and opted to use the chrome horn. I know it's a big racetrack at a mile in length, but for NASCAR purposes, we'll call all tracks a mile and under short tracks. That's been a short track racing between those drivers in 3rd and 4th. Aggressive, physical, but nobody stepped over the line in that one. Race car drivers, though, not quick to forget what happened. Curious if Ryan Luza is going to have something to say about that a little bit later on. Here's another look at the first move on the bottom of your screen. That's 77 down to the inside, under the 12. Luza clears him, right? But he's got to slide up, take that line away. I think is fair for the 12, right? He pulls up in front of him slower. Luza stays in the gas, gives him the shot back, and that's kind of the green light for Wilson to say, all right, we're bumping.
Yeah, you can't just stay there forever and expect everything to be nice. You've got a car that's there. You've got 4 tires. If you're in the way, well, I'm going to try and push you out of the way. That's just the nature of racing. You know, it's a case of you can try and just slowly shift someone out of the way. And Ryan Luza's been there, done that. He's written the book. He knows exactly what he needs to do. And now his game is going to be looking behind at the likes of Donovan Strauss and Nick Ottinger and Jimmy Mullis, who are there. Strauss is absolutely carving through this field right now. He is the hot knife through butter. He made quick work of Mullis and Ottinger, and now I think he eyes up Ryan Luza and thinks, 4th for car 4 after I've just been engaged? I'm buoyed at this point.
And I thought surely the way that Strauss has been serpentining his way through the field that he's got to be on 4 tires, right? No, he was one of the drivers who took 2. That car is just that good as it continues to make passes, holding off a fight back from Nick Ottinger right there. How about a top 5 race car? Both Donovan Strauss and Steven Wilson stealing all of the limelight from the likes of Ottinger and Salas. Those are the only 2 cars who have actually led laps in this race so far, but Wilson's charge from 22nd to 3rd, Strauss's from 28th to 5th. It has been 2 mammoth gains for those drivers as we are closing in the next time by on halfway home here in Dover. Strauss has been really aggressive, 30 laps now on those 2 tires that he added after caution flag number 1. If this race continues to stretch itself out green, will those drivers who were aggressive on the restart suffer in the long run. Right now, it's all coming up good for the 4, the 77, and others, but we'll see as this race continues to trickle on. If that changes is all, you get a quick peek at those team standings. Spire Motorsports still on top, and that's another big battle that we'll be watching into the second half of the year.
We very much will. 50 points now to the good because they've got both their cars in the top 10. Wilson third, Latin Bosun in at 9th position. Donovan Strauss making huge strides here in this race, and that's what's putting Atlassian Williams now in a bit of a mix here against Channel 199. So they are having a very good run right now here today, thanks to Strauss. But remember, they're looking around at when's the right time to go, and keep an eye out on the tyre deg that is in play, that degradation. I'm looking around at fastest laps, so low 23s, let's say, for example, for Dylan Duval. They're now, Duval's doing 24.4, so 1.3 seconds a lap, the difference. So if it does have to go to green flag pit stops, which I would argue that we're looking at in about 15 laps time, I would be arguing right now with Vicente Salas 1.2 seconds down the road. If you're Keister, if you're Wilson, if you're Loser, earlier is the better part of what you need to do if you want to get that jump. But you can never be too certain around Dover, especially in a lapping scenario, at how quickly a caution can find itself.
Yeah, and there's 2 other side plots if we do get to green flag pit stops as you jump on board with Kerner in turn number 2. Is that number 1, this may be the most difficult pit road entry on this calendar, especially under green flag conditions. Number 2 is if you go for the short pit, you want the advantage of those fresh Goodyear Eagles sooner. Well, the challenge of that is you are certainly going to lose your lap, and some drivers may be afraid to come down early to pit cycle, go a lap down, because a treacherous green flag pit cycle raises the odds of a caution. You would not want one of those to happen where you are trapped 1 lap down. It would ruin any hope you have at competing for the race win in this one. So all of those things to look at as the possibility of green flag pit stops rise with each passing lap. Speaking of passing to the inside, goes that number 19 car, Eddie Kerner down through and clear, but for how long? Beautiful slide job on Bobby Zelensky, but Bobby Z going to cross him right back over and try to take that spot back. Zelensky has never won here at Dover, but he says it's his favorite oval on the schedule. In the end, Kerner wins out for that battle.
I mean, Bobby Zelensky might like Dover, but Dover clearly at the moment doesn't like him back. And it's a case here that he's had a car that's been certainly all right out there, but now it's starting to drop pace and is losing positions now because this is Zach Novak down to the bottom in the number 2, looking to try and get it done. Good drive off the exit on the top side from Bobby Zelensky, covers off the move. But I just want to go back to that point that you were talking about how this is the toughest pit lane of the season. It's not just the fact that you're coming off the 24 degrees of banking to get down onto pit road. It's the fact that it's an incredibly early commitment cone to go and slow yourself down to 35 miles an hour. You have got to be right on it. You're still halfway through turn 4 by the time you're at pit lane speed.
And there's a good look at those 2 drivers in that battle, with Zelensky being passed by Kerner, sets him and Zach Novak up for a tussle as they sit in the number 15 and 16 spots right now. They're headed into turn number 3. Your leaders coming off of turn number 4. That's about the gap between them. It marks out to about 6 seconds and change on the racetrack itself. But the last time a majority of cars came down pit road, again, was that first caution flag of the night. We've had another yellow since then. That'll skew the numbers a bit, but everybody pitted 42 laps ago. There are 50 laps to go in this race. Simple math says, split the difference. You were talking about it earlier, Jake, go 45-45, get what you need. But again, under green, these drivers can go as far as 65-plus laps if they want to on fuel. So there is a broad window between maybe the magic number, 45, splitting it in half, and the max number, call it 65 to 68 or so. 20 laps of variance means that somebody could win this race on strategy. That door is open if this thing continues to stay green. Battles all throughout the racetrack, but the most space we've seen amongst this field all night long as we check in with P20 and 21. It's Bias and Alt.
Yep, so Dylan Holt is someone who needs to be trying to find a way up, just dropped outside of that top 10 and wants to try and continue to move on up through. He's having a little bit of struggle over the course of the last couple of rounds to try and go up. Cody Bias having a pretty average day, so to be said. Started 20th, is 20th right now. He can't be more middle of the pack than that. But I think the interesting strategy is going to be because of that first caution that we had, where some drivers took 2 tyres and some drivers took 4. There's going to be a certain amount you can go on fuel, but I would say that those who took 2 tyres are going to be more likely to take 4 than those who took 4 tyres at the first stop. If you can go all the way 65 laps on a set or on what you've got green flag running on 4 tyres, surely there might be a world where you can try and get a little jump by going up onto 2.
And you take a look at the live points as things run right now. Well, your current race leader, Vicente Salas, has yet to win a race so far this season. If this race were to finish right now, he would jump up as a race winner. He is solidly a top 10 car in the points, so this win would count towards playoff eligibility. And in fact, Vicente Salas has the second most top 5 finishes out of the entire field this season, bested only by Parker White, who has been on a tear of consistent finishes. Parker also looking for his first win of the season, but maybe not in a position to snag that here so far tonight, as he is just on the tail end of the top 10. You jump on board with the driver chasing down that 15. Steven Wilson continuing to charge through the field. It's your 5 times race winner this season. Wilson trying to get to your Las Vegas winner, Colin Keister. Both of these drivers in positions right now that they'll know they'll be in the postseason, but wins, playoff points, can't put a number on it. They are invaluable to make it a championship run. So even though they both got those checkered flag stickers on those cars, they both want this maybe just as bad as that man up in P1.
I think this is a really telling battle right now, because Colin Keister, although he is holding the bottom of the circuit, he's not holding it nearly as tightly as he did at the start of the stint. He's very much having to migrate up to the middle of the circuit to diamond off the corner and get back off of the exit. Steven Wilson, who's loved running that higher line, has certainly been playing that, but now looks to try and experiment a little bit, go down low, try and get in the mirrors, so to speak, and try and get a little bit of focus there. Gets a tiny wiggle off the exit of 4, and that's going to maybe temper slightly the run over the next stage. But this is a case of finding out, what does Colin Keister have as a car underneath him? What is going to happen here for the likes of the Mustang of Colin Keister compared to the Chevrolet of Steven Wilson? This is information gathering. Don't have to do anything about it right now, but when it comes to the playoff season, anytime you get driving behind a rival, you get a bit more understanding of how they go and race.
And you've heard of the scientific method. This is the unscientific method. And I'm just looking at these 2 drivers' faces, right? It was a little bit deceptive because we couldn't see Steven Wilson's wheel in that shot. But every time off of the corner, Keister, a little bit of a jerk of the wheel, right? Trying to make sure that that thing's pointed straight. Looked a little bit frustrated at times. He was talking a little bit more, right? Obviously conferring with the team on what the pitch strategy is going to be or what the race car's doing. Steven Wilson maybe blinked once, right? No facial expressions. He seemed a lot more comfortable in the car. Again, it's unscientific, but just looking at those 2, it looked to me like Wilson was more comfortable with what his car was doing than what we were seeing at a Keister. Digging back into the 20s for this battle, the number 50 of Quentin Warman drives into number 22 spot. He's in a battle with Christopher Hill and Matt Busa. Busa just made the move for that number 25 spot behind, and now he'll go to the inside of the 50. Can he get it? No! Warman did not let him slide up. They get together. Almost calamity in 2. Busa gets P22 in the end, but not before a heart skip moment for that 50.
That 50 tapped the wall off of 4, and that was the key that opened up the opportunity. Matt Busa took a very regular line. Quentin Warman, I think, was trying to compensate for the mistake that he made earlier on, and now it puts Blaze Crawford in position to try and dive down the inside of him. So that gives you a lot of an emphasis on what they do. And a bit further up, Eddie Kerner going to the high side, looking for a chance. Casey Kerwin down on the bottom, trying to work up. They have a little bit of a tussle off of the wall of 4, and and back again into one once more. It's a case of once more Kerwin defending against Kerner, and these two right now very tough to separate. All the draft going up to Bobby Z, who's just in front, and they're really having to work at 37 laps to go, but this time it's covered off by Kerwin.
And Kerwin really aggressively fighting off. You'll get a second look at what happened in that previous battle on the bottom. Again, Busa was clear for a moment, but by the time the car came up, Warman was in the gas, trying to stay to the outside. They got together, no damage on the 50. Busa said something on the radio, I think apologized to him off at 2, but it's a bit of a game of chicken, right? If you want to pull that slide job effectively and slot up in front of somebody, you're going to pull up, you're going to be slower than them. So that car up top has a conscious decision. Do they let you pull up on you, get the spot, or do you stay in the gas and challenge? And while some drivers may have rolled over, let that go earlier in the race, we are getting down to 35 laps to go. There is no more giving up easy spots. This race continues to trickle down to the end. We talk a lot about the paint schemes in this series. It is a new paint job on the number 5 for Nate Stewart tonight. The Jim Beaver Esports, the Misadventure Life car, always bringing some good paint schemes, and that's the Mustang Mach-E Rally paint scheme on that car, making its debut tonight. A good-looking machine.
It is an absolutely beautiful looking machine, and Nate Stewart here, rookie, then running out of Hopkinsville, Kentucky, looking for as much drive as possible. Said he had a little bit of pace here today that he was feeling quite comfortable with out there. Qualified at 16th, -2 for the day so far, down in 18th. Needs a little bit of luck to go his way, but for the moment is doing a decent job, I would say, out there. And right now, Parker White in the middle of this right now, because that's Casey Kerwin in front, and that is Zach Novak behind. So Parker White, who has been bridesmaid on many occasions, finding it a little bit more difficult here, and off of 4, finding it difficult on the rear. Straight down low goes Zach Novak. There's that slide job we were talking about, making that one easy and comfortable to make the pass.
And we haven't talked much about Casey since he started inside of the top 10. He started P7. He has slipped down to P14. So struggles for him and Taylor Hurst, wanted to note. Hurst started 9th in this race. He's down in 27. So those two drivers struggling. Here we go for round number 2. It came to blows last time around when Steven Wilson chased down Luza. And now it looks like the number 12 Toyota, the better car between them at the moment. So Luza to the inside of Wilson. Side by side they go in a battle for third. No attempt at the slide job there. Wilson carries the speed off the corner, clears him back, moves it back down to the bottom. Going to try once more. It's all for third at lap number 91.
I can't help but feel like Steven Wilson has really burnt the tyres up in the first part of that stint, and so right now with 30 laps to go is starting to really struggle. Ryan Loser, you can see that very distinctive, I would say almost craned forward look that he's got out there on the steering wheel. It's like he's hanging over the top of the steering wheel as he drives, comfortably gets the move. It's a very unique driving style, but Ryan right now back up into third position, proving that time was his greatest weapon.
And a good look at both of those onboards, a rare instant where both drivers working those Formula-style wheels at home. Those detachable or interchangeable wheels, nothing to sim racing, but we have seen more and more in recent years. Drivers like Steven Wilson in that instance who have busted out the Formula wheel even for the ovals, right? It kind of started with some of the other drivers who did pro-level road racing, would do it for the road course races in this series, and now some of them just prefer it full-time. One of the unique things about the sim that you will likely never see in a NASCAR stock car, and that is an open-wheel style wheel just like that. Some other side-by-side, just saw towards the tail end of that top 10, somebody going to the bottom. I think it was Dylan Duvall around Nick Ottinger. They'll swap out P7 and 8. They clear for the exit at turn number 2. You saw that in the background there. So another change of position inside of the top 10. And now, all of a sudden, 27 laps to go in this race, make it 26 the next time around. And we have yet to see this field forced to pit road, 67 laps removed from the last time they were on pit lane.
I have just noticed Graham Bolin, I think, is going to be your first retirement from this race. So that's going to be a real shame for the 48 out there. Not quite sure what's happened there, but here's a case of your William Byron Esports drivers then together on track. So they've got that bracket challenge, of course, which is coming up. But for Tucker Minter, he's now through on Nick Ottinger, and it's Nick who's starting to go. Now I'm hearing words of drivers thinking about coming in. Tyler Gary in the 69 saying he's going to start pitting in. So I think we've just hit window with 25 left.
And you got to be careful now, drivers. You don't want to telegraph the strategy to the field, but you are forced to because pit road entry starts on the racing surface in turns 3 to 4. You will have to be slowing down on the racetrack. That's why you have to tell the cars around you that you're coming down pit road. Otherwise, you're fixing to get run over. So there is going to be heads up from all of these top players on when they're coming down pit road, and the radio's starting to light up like a Christmas tree. I think we have hit that window. Battles ongoing. Novak and others continue to fight. The number 2 gets up in front and clear. Femi Olatunbosi in a battle for 14th position.
Oh, hello.
More cars coming, 3 wide. Look at the 4 car, a Strauss in the middle of all that fun. 2 by 2, like 170 mile an hour pace lap right now in a battle for 5th on back.
Stephen Wilson looks a bit like a deflated basketball at the moment. The way that he is dropping back, struggling. Jimmy Mullis going through, Strauss through, Duval on the inside now, looking to pick up another one as they go through. Tucker Minter, who's got 3 wins this season's now going to start thinking, I'll have a slice of that cake, sir, as he now thinks about going to the inside, 2 wide, 2 deep. And there, down on the bottom, making that lunge over to the pits, that's Daniel Falkingham, who's 1 lap down, deciding to make that call. So now we're seeing more and more. Who's going to blink? This is a game of I don't want to be the one that gets stuck as they go through. Strauss now in a little bit of trouble, looking like tires have been burnt. Minter now looking to try and get to the rear, moving towards 3, deciding to go high side.
The 97 going to go way up to the outside of the racetrack. And how about Connor Urashak? We have not talked a lot about that Sudoku Chevrolet, but that car on the scene also. It's Minter fighting with the 4 Strauss. Urashak fighting with the 77 Wilson. And is anybody diving to pit road? This time down the backstretch. Strauss says, I am. You'll see he slows down on the racing surface to have to get to the pit road entry as there are other cars down pit road for service. So Strauss, first top 10 car to come down pit road. How quickly do the rest of the race leaders respond?
I would say immediate would be my best guess on that, because the moment one goes through, it's a case of lemmings off the cliff. You just got to have everybody jumping and deciding to say, right, it's my time. But nobody really responding immediately here. And I'd look at Stephen Wilson as someone who probably wanted to come down pit road that time by, but found himself balked by Zach Novak, who is down on the bottom. So it's about positioning here. Wilson saying, I'm going to pit, but here's the issue with Stephen Wilson, just gets the clearance on Nick Ottinger. If he didn't get that, he'd have been stuck out there for another lap.
And Wilson going to come down pit road this time through. He took 2 tires the last time he came in. Again, that was under the caution flag. You do not need a lot of fuel in these race cars to get to the end of this race. But if you took 2 tires the last time you pitted, is that going to be a disadvantage? You cannot afford to sit down there and take 4 tires. That would take way longer than the fuel that is necessary. So I suspect even if you have not changed those lefts at all in this race, you can only afford to go for 2 tires. It's exactly what Wilson does as he'll head off of the pit lane this time by. More side-by-side action inside of the top 10. It's a battle between Jimmy Mullis and Dylan Duval for the number 4 and 5 positions on track as we still are waiting on Vicente Salas to come down from the lead. His advantage, a race best now, 2.1 seconds.
Yeah, but it is starting to get eaten into here because the likes of Ryan Loser has been given license through on Colin Keister and now trying to work through some of the drivers who have come in to make their stops. He's actually right behind Stephen Wilson. He'll be using him for as much slipstream as he can for the moment. So this is a very, very difficult phase of this race. Everybody's going to try and give themselves some room. That's Timmy Holmes going around the outside of both Nate Stewart and Nick Ottinger then. And Ottinger has fallen like a stone. He's now outside the top 15.
It has not been good race pace for the driver who started on pole position. Looks like another win at Dover not in the cards. And if that continues to play out, the trend in 2025 of no pole sitters being able to go to victory lane looks like it's going to continue here tonight from the Monster Mile. Still, Salas, Luza, Keister, Duval. But I mentioned only a few laps ago, it was a 2.1 second advantage. You see the score-rated pylon left of your screen, now 1.8. It was 1.7, even 6 at the moment there. So Luza, at the current pace, is the fastest race car on the track right now. But what is the decision going to be? Can those cars somehow not have to come down to the pit lane? We have still seen only a minority of drivers actually come in for service. But all of these cars who have not come down pit road have been out there for 80 plus laps. There was a caution mixed in there. That saves you about 3 to 4 laps. I just don't see that being enough, though. Nick Ottinger over the radio says, I'm coming to pit road this time. At 11 laps to go, there he is.
Yeah, it's going to have to be some very quick pit stops, and the crews are going to have a lot of work to do to make it happen. Surely they can't go all the way, but if they do, it would be a modern miracle that they've got there. I've got Jimmy Mullis on the radio saying I'm going to think about it, and he will dive down low and decide he's going to pit. So we are starting to get the dribs and drabs going through. It's one at a time. How late do you dare?
And the longer you go, the less fuel that needs to go in that race car. So that is something to keep in mind, is the longer they go, the shorter the stop has to be. The stops are going to get so short, though, that do you even have the time to put the right side tires? At some point, you're going to be waiting on the rubber for how few laps and how few gallons of fuel you need to put in these race cars.
Wow. I'm getting word in here at this moment here that some drivers are running the tyres down and they're starting to pick up flats here. So Nick Ottinger and Blaze Crawford, who are both in the pits, picked up flats, and as such, they've had to come in, get that tyre done, and get out again. Garrett Lowe's there. This might be a game of who's been saving the tyre.
Garrett Lowe was one of them, so maybe drivers coming to pit road only if those tires are gone and they are getting black flags from the sim because they have flat tires, and that is required to come down pit road and repair them. So is it going to be a decision only to come down if you are forced to by the automated race control for black flags because the tires are going flat late in this run? Only 7 laps to go at Dover. The majority of the field, your top 28 cars, come to pit road since that early yellow. Femi Alantambosin, I see black flag in the air for him. Is the 7 now going to be the latest driver forced to pit road? He is. So that is not his decision. He is required to come down pit road with the flats. This time by 5 laps to go. Can Vicente Salas outlast the black flag, and can he outlast Ryan Luza, who is only 1 second off of the race leader?
Ryan Luzer's driving fantastically 24/7 on that last go around. 24/7 as well from Salas, but he's had to let Nick Ottinger go through on that lap. Each and every single lap ticked off is huge for Vicente Salas, but it takes one wrong move to go through. And here's an important fact to remember. You've got 4 laps to serve a mechanical black flag or you get disqualified. Any black flag within 3 laps to go, they don't have to serve. They can drive it home.
And the next man up as you go on board with Ryan Luza is race leader Vicente Salas. That gap has steadied just a bit. It is stable at about 1 second, but look at all of the lap traffic that Vicente Salas is about to catch. Is that going to slow him down in any manner? And will it allow Luza to get onto the scene? 3 laps to go here in Dover. Black flag for Tucker Minter. That's a top 12 car. We'll see if he serves it.
Well, at this point, I'd say if you can hold on to the machine, you can. Salas now up onto the scene by Colin Bowden. We'll look around. Matthew Zwack in front, Kwame Scott, and the likes of Agnel Phillip he's got to get through. 3 laps to go. Now is going to turn to 2 laps to go. Throw a couple popsicle sticks in the air, but right now he's through on Zwack, and now he's got to get through 3 and 4 losers on the scene, trying to bring himself into play. But right now, it's a case of a crawl to the line right now. Salas has got 1 left.
And more black flags throughout the field. Kerner's got one, Stewart's got one, but it's a white flag in the air. This race is official for Vicente Salas. 2-tire decision. In an early pit stop, the race goes green all the way to the end. Luza gets close, but it is not going to be close enough. Race win number 1 of 2025 for Vicente Salas comes in Dover.
Look how pumped he is coming over the line. He knows that was all him and all knowing that he had to give himself the chance at the front, make the restarts pay, and that long run, he gets everything he wants to. And a nice sign of respect there from Ryan Luza, getting right up close alongside saying, hey, good win, kid.
First race win since Darlington in segment number 2 last season, so it breaks an over a year-long winless drought for the driver of the number 11 Toyota. This winning moment is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR. And listen, he's got Miramar Financial Group on the car, real estate loans and investments. I think he's taken out a mortgage on Victory Lane here in Dover. What a drive. 93 laps led consecutively to the end of this race. It is the 3rd race win of Vicente Salas' career in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. Well, let's take a look at the Coca-Cola move of the race. It happened behind your race leader. While Vicente Salas was up front working the lead, Jake, we got to give it to this battle.
We absolutely do. This was all about hard-nosed racing. 2 drivers who don't want to give anything away out there on circuit. A case of rubbings racing as they went on by. Ryan Luza, Stephen Wilson, both proving that they've got something that they wanted to go with. Wilson again looking to push back low, going even higher once again. But again, Ryan Luza cutting back underneath. This is just 2 drivers who know how to use every single pixel available to them.
And that 77 in the end, using that outside lane, he would get around Ryan Luza, but then late in this race, Luza conserved the tires better, would chase Wilson back down in the end, and what a difference when it comes down to the checkered flag. Ryan Luza ends up coming home in the number 2 position, and Stephen Wilson ends up coming home tonight when it's all said and done. 29th position, a lap down because those tires did not last the distance for him. Let's take a look at your Coca-Cola full race results. Vicente Salas becomes the 5th different race winner this season in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series and puts Tony Kanaan Esports in victory lane. Ahead of Ryan Luza, the FGR-XL car second, Colin Keister getting some good points finishes over the course of the last couple of weeks, solidifying his spot in the playoff grid. We'll get a word with those drivers in a few moments. Dylan Duvall sneaks in there. What a P4 result for him. Casey Kerwin walks away with the top 5. Bobby Zelensky, Jordy Lopez, Connor Urashak, Zach Novak, and Dylan Alt, your top 10. All of those drivers gained a bunch of spots late as their fellow competitors were forced to pit road.
Yeah, there was a lot of progress that needed to be made. Cody Bias and Christopher Hill, so the 2 Apex cars, 11th and 12th, Seth the Merchant and Tucker Minter there with Taylor Hurst in 15th position. Matthew Morton, actually give a lot of credit there to the E-Racer driver, subbing in today and picking up 16th position. I'd say job well done on your debut, with Nate Stewart 17th and Michael Cozy Jr. in 18th. That led another Michael Guest to 19th, and Matt Booser getting a 20th place finish.
You get to the midway point in the field, and a lot of drivers with some mixed nights in this one. I think first, the tip of the cap to Agno Phillip, career start number 1. He comes home at a 25th place finish. Matthew Zawak also filling in tonight. Short notice. He comes home at a P26. So I think those drivers have a lot to be happy about. Blake McCandless gets a good result. He jumped 16 cars from where he was on the grid to finish P22. So a lot of good storylines there in the 20s.
Yeah, and those drivers who are stuck out there were those who had to come in and make a stop and then found themselves on the wrong side of needing a caution out there as they could go 92 laps on fuel. So the likes of Femi Alatenbos and Timmy Holmes in there. Parker White caught on the wrong side, Garrett Lowe, and then issues out there for Graham Boland. Nothing he could do about those here today. Will be classified 40th as the only real retiree from racing action. But I do believe that we will get a chance to talk to Vicente Salas, who picked up the victory here today. And Vicente, 92 laps on fuel, tyres which are down to the carcasses. As far as it goes for a victory, it couldn't have been a tougher effort to get it home.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was driving super hard at the end there. I think Ryan kind of saved his tires a little bit, so he was coming at the end. But just super proud of this Kanaan Esports number 11 crew. Platt and Dave kept me really calm during the race, collected, hitting my lines. Everyone back at Dead Zone Racing, Houston Hammer, Dylan Duval, Ryan Luza, Zach Novak, just everybody that works on this car. We showed up, didn't really know what we had, put ourselves in position, and, we've kind of been doing that all year. So glad we could finally close one out.
A win at Dover and crucially a win late for you that will put you pretty much into the playoffs. How much of a weight is that off of your shoulders, knowing that you don't have to fight at the street course next time out at Chicago and you don't have to fight as hard for the final 3 rounds before playoffs and you can start focusing on it?
Oh, I mean, it's huge for us. I had Chicago circled on my list. I mean, we were so good at Interlagos earlier this year, and Chicago last year, Brands Hatch last year. So that was kind of a race that I was going to sweat out, but now we can kind of go into it a little more mellow, see if we can guard ourselves a second one. But to put ourselves in the playoffs here and kind of relieve that stress is huge. So just super grateful for the opportunity to be here. Thank you to Tony Kanaan, Miramar Financial, and everyone that supports me.
A stress relief as big as the check over to your right-hand shoulder there. Vicente Salas joining us and picking up the victory. Second here today it was Ryan Luza, and we got the pupper there over on the right-hand side for you. Ryan, I tell you what, that was an absolutely brilliant battle that you had early on there with Stephen Wilson. It showed how much experience that you needed to work with today, knowing that he was going to burn his tyres and you were just able to reel him back in later on in the stint.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really expect him to struggle that bad. I thought they were just better, but apparently not. He was just kind of using them up a little bit. And that fight, maybe I should have let him go. It definitely didn't help me, but I was just annoyed with the way he was arcing me out. So I hit him and got back by him, and then he hit me and got back by me. So that definitely didn't help our case. I think we would have had maybe a little bit better chance of getting to Vicente, but it was just too little too late, again, just like Nashville. But I don't know, the P2 feels awful whenever you can win and just be in the playoffs. But it's good points, and we have a couple more chances here to try to get it done.
In terms of where you're looking at and your couple more chances, obviously it's street circuit racing next week when it comes to Chicago, but are you targeting elsewhere? Where do you think you're targeting to try and give yourself that automatic place?
It's definitely not Chicago. I will be really happy with a top 15 performance there if we can pull that off. So what do we have? Atlanta and Indy, I believe, and Atlanta's super speedway, so that's just kind of a, see what happens. So maybe Indy, but that's going to be like big time draft, big time dirty air. So going to come down to Q, kind of just like it did tonight. We queued well, and hopefully we can do that at Indy or something and just keep the track position. I really hate that Vicente was able to clear me on that first start because that gave him track position for the rest of the race. But I don't know, really nothing that I could have done differently. Thanks to everyone at Dead Zone for the hard work. We were really good tonight. It's good to see the prep paying off, and I mean, we've had incredible pace all year. Our finishes just haven't really came. So this will be nice to get us up in the top 20, surely, and hopefully we can maybe win one here. That's really our only chance.
I just want to talk strategy because it was such a fascinating race here today at Dover. The fact that you got that caution that comes out at about a quarter of the way through and you can go over 90 laps on the fuel, and the tyres pretty much, you had drivers left, right and centre blowing tyres at the end of that race. So in terms of how that went for you, how much was your spotter there on your ear going at your right rear, okay, this is critical, save, and how much of that was you also looking at that fuel gauge to say, have we got enough?
Yeah, I think we knew we were good on fuel, but tires were the worry. That's why we kind of sat back there and tried to, conserve for most of that race. And then as soon as I got by Colin, Derek was telling me that, maybe these guys are short on fuel or maybe they're close to blowing a tire, so I should push. And we had enough tire to push, just not quite enough. But we were prepared for this to happen, and I think that's why most of us made it. It's really good prep work from everyone at Dead Zone. Thanks to everyone there.
Ryan Loser there joining us, having a really, really good run today. The Technical Alliance over at Dead Zone working a treat. But Evan, I tell you what, that is what you call a hard-fought victory, and it doesn't get any better when it comes to what comes along in 7 days.
And we head to another unique challenge as our annual trip to the streets of Chicago is renewed once more. It is the second road course race of the season, notably the last. So if you feel like you are one of the road course ringers, there used to be a lot more of them back in the day. They would stand out. I think now overall, Jake, this field has gotten more and more competitive. But if you're somebody who's had this one circled, it's a big moment. We know now 5 race winners on the year, so I believe Salas was already above the points cut line anyways, but it guarantees one less points paying position into the playoff grid with his win. There are now only going to be 3 races left to go, and not only is it the unique challenge in Chicago, but you've got to do it on fixed setups and with the sprint race format. So there is going to be a lot going on in a critical battle in Grant Park. I won't be there to join in on the fun. Jake will be watching you and Kenneth on the call, but it should be a thriller.
It absolutely will. And when you've got so many different variables to keep your head on a swivel with, this is what's going to make this Chicago street course very, very interesting indeed, because it's not just about being right place, right time and running away as a specialist, but it's those drivers who can find a little bit of an edge somewhere compared to where some of the others are maybe going to say it's a week off. Someone like Ryan Loser's going to go, yeah, I know that I'm not going to win this race. I know I'm not going to be up there challenging. I'm going to consider this as a week off and go, right, I'll hedge my bets somewhere else. So this is a really good chance for someone who's maybe not had the best of seasons to go, right, this is my race.
And don't let get forgotten in these results with the forced pit stop late in the race for Steven Wilson, a P29, his second worst finish of the year. Does that take him out of contention for a Segment 3 championship? We know he's going to be in the playoffs, but you want every point you can get. How does that shake up the Segment 3 title fight? That's going to continue over the course of these final 3 races. But that's going to do it here for us tonight from Dover. On behalf of our entire team, for Camille Salazar-Hadaway, Alan Cavana, Ryan Vargas, Jake Sperry, myself, Evan Pasoko, want to say thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you again in 1 week's time. It's Tuesday, July 1st, from iRacing's virtual Chicago Street Course. That race and every race of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series can be found right here on the iRacing Esports Network. Until then, good night from Dover. Vicente Salas is your winner. Starting right now, it's the Sunoco post-race report with James Pike and Keenan Kusin.
Good evening and welcome to the Sunoco post-race report for the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series at Dover Motor Speedway. I'm James Pike alongside Keenan Kusin. And Keenan, this is a race where not as much happened as I think potentially could have happened, but the winning strategy ended up being just sort of going, I think, straight forward with it and not necessarily trying to react to anything else. And not every race, either in eNASCAR or in real life, pans out that way. But Sensei Salas had pace from that first round of pit stops on 92 laps on fuel and tires, especially with everything that's changed after the build. That's an impressive run by Andy Standard.
I mean, ever since you guys had me up here for the post-race report, it seems like we've had some sort of incredible finish, whether that's yellows leading to a lot of late fights or tire strategy kind of culminating into a last set of lap battles, or in the case of this race, we were blowing tires left and right. So, I mean, you say that, James, but I don't think it was simple for everybody out there. Obviously, though, for the 11 machine, they figured it out.
They figured it out, and Sensei Salas finds himself in victory lane once again in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. We'll also be joined a little bit later by our pair of journalists this evening, Justin Melillo and Seth Eggerts. But first and foremost, we bring in our race winner this evening for Kanan Esports out of Temecula, California, the Sensei Salas. We bring in our runner-up, Ryan Luja, who got the job done and got a podium finish for FGR Shell eRacing. Sensei, I want to start with you. For those who are unaware, I've seen Sensei a lot around the late model short track scene in the Southeast throughout the year in real life. And there have been more than a few occasions where Sensei's looked at me on pit road and he said, bro, I had that race won. I had that race won. So for as many times as you told me that, why was this the race where you actually were able to execute on that?
I don't know. I mean, I've felt really, really good going into a couple of these races. I mean, Rockingham, we didn't even make it to turn one. And then there was a couple others that, I mean, we were right there at the front. Nashville, we were right there, just kind of got little air games on us, couldn't get to Tucker. But I mean, just to close this one out and put ourselves in position, I think was the biggest thing. You know, we gambled on the race going green, so we went for track position with the 2-tire call versus Nick going for 4. And, you know, obviously they were doing something different to blow a tire, but for me and Ryan to make it to the end was pretty cool, so.
Ryan, this is not your first appearance on the Sunoco post-race report this year. This is arguably your best year in this next-gen car. Is there something that you figured out this year or something that's changed with the build that maybe suits your driving style a little bit more?
I think it's just having a little bit more confidence in the cars and like in the Q set. Just being able to go out there and put the qualifying lap down, not worried, you know, that you have to hit a perfect lap to be in the top 10 is like a really big deal as far as like my mental is concerned going into Q. And I think that's really the biggest difference for this year and previous years is the Q speed. Like I'm just able to go out there, hit a solid lap, you know, nothing special, and you know, our average starting spot has been incredible. And that's really what it's about in this car and having the track position. So just having the confidence in the Q, in my opinion, has been the biggest factor. And like I've been saying, thanks to everyone at Dead Zone for the hard work. It really goes a long way, just being able to come into qualifying confident like that.
Dead Zone 1-2 as well this evening. Let's turn to our panel of journalists, and we start tonight with iRacing's own Justin Melillo.
It's actually a Dead Zone 1 through 5 looking at this, and you two are leading the way. Incredible job by y'all. How were you able to manage both the pace and the tire wear? Because I'm looking at the tires at the end of these this race, and these tires are absolutely worn out, and it's just incredible. I'll start with Vicente. How were you able to not only pull away from the field, but also make sure that your tires made it to the end? Did you expect this race to stay green the whole time?
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of the gamble, right? You know, do you save and hope that it goes all the way, or do you kind of go on the short run and just try and pull a lead? So, you know, I tried to do a mix of both. I didn't, you know, put all my beans on the table, you know, that short run, but I tried to get out to about a second lead. And, you know, I think that really helped us at the end when I caught those lap cars, because the lead kind of stayed, you know, above a second at the end there. But, you know, that little bit of space and safe space really helped us at the end. So I gambled that the race would go long, but that I would also have that breathing room.
And Ryan, you kind of had a little bit of an opposite strategy where you kind of held back a little bit and saved some to the end, where you were kind of catching Vicente at the end there. Again, were you thinking that the race was going to end up the way that it did?
I thought there was a good shot of it. I was really surprised that I ended up having like the pace on Vicente, because with the clean air, I thought for sure he was just out there just riding, like literally just chilling for a free win. And then my fight with Steven really did not help in my mind. I spent like 5 laps on his outside, and then he slidered me, and then I hit him because I was upset about it. And then I got back by him, and then he, drove me into turn 1, and I lost a whole nother, tons of time, and I really thought my tires were going to be cooked there. So what happened at the end really surprised me. But that's just a testament to how good our car was and how well prepared we were, for it to go green like that.
From one journalist to another, we welcome back to the panel and welcome for the first time this evening, Seth Eggert to the Sunoco Post-Race Report.
Vicente, Ryan, had either of you done a run that long in practice or testing leading up to this? Like, is there any way that you thought you could make tires last that long or fuel last that long?
I mean, I don't think we did a run quite that long. I think something to kind of look at is, who was in this race and who wasn't. So, most of us were probably betting that it wasn't going to go green. But kind of with a little more security this race, knowing, we had a better chance of going green, I think that's what made us call the strategy we did and drive the way we did. So it was really, really a good time to go green like that. We haven't done that in a while.
I mean, for me, we were kind of prepared for it. I think with the weather being different was the biggest unknown, really, as to how that was going to affect the tires. But like Vicente said, I mean, for me, really the only thing that's going to turn my year around in a way that I want it to is a win. And that was the, best chance at it as far as I was concerned, to just commit to that and do it. And it ended up being the right call. We just came up 1 spot short.
And Ryan, a somewhat less serious question. We saw your dog in the room post-race. What kind? How old?
He's a husky. I'm not sure how old he is exactly. It's my roommate's dog. But yeah, I get real mad at him whenever he comes up here and I'm trying to practice or whatever. So usually he knows to stay away while I'm on the rig. But I think he sensed the race was over or something, I guess, and he came to say hey.
So good boy this time.
Yeah.
All right, it's time to unleash our Canadian connection upon you two. Keenan Kusin has entered the chat. I am both fearful of and very excited to hear whatever he has come up with.
So first things first, I believe that Sente, you mentioned it a little bit. We got questions from the Twitch chat. I believe this is Houston going, do you think they're mad at me for making them do the runs we did last night?
Oh, absolutely. We did not want to do work on race. We just wanted to work on qualifying. And of course, we had Houston in our ear, hey man, you got to do this run. You got to try this. You got to try that. And most of the time we get annoyed at him, but today it really paid off. So thank you, Houston, for what you do.
That was scripted. I could tell you're reading that off. You're reading that off a screen. You had that ready. This is for both of you as well. This is from one of our people in the iRacing production truck, Cisco Scaramuza, who I'm sure you're both familiar with. You're both late model guys, so 1-1v1, heads up. Who's winning and where y'all racing?
I don't know.
Ryan's got an idea. Look at the smile on his face.
I mean, it depends on where we race. If we race at a track here, up in the Carolinas, maybe I have a better chance. But if we go down to like Five Flags, Pensacola, New Smyrna, that area, I'd probably put my money on Ryan here. So,
yeah, I mean, for me, it's hard to say. Haven't been in a car in a while now. I think it's been almost a year and a half since last Speed Weeks. But yeah, I mean, I really miss it. But it's so expensive. I mean, we all know, and that's why I always say that iRacing is just amazing to be able to hop on and do and get that competitive side of me out. But yeah, I mean, it's just the way it is. We spent many years going for it and racing full time, and that came to an end. But I'm thankful for all of it.
I believe we're getting somebody else joining the Impact Zone here who knows a little bit about late model racing. Donovan Strauss, welcome up to the Sunoco post-race booth, whatever we want to call this, box, cube, wherever we are. Just ask the same question to both these gentlemen. I'll ask you the same thing. It's the three of you now. You're all in the late model. Where are you racing and who's winning?
Well, I'm racing at Caraway Speedway this upcoming Wednesday in the ZMAX Cars Tour. Vicente kind of does the Xfinity stuff now. But yeah. I'm retired.
The question for all three of course, we have our question of the day, too, and it's usually themed around where we are, where we've been. The final boss of Dover is, of course, Miles the Monster. If you could pick one superpower to beat him with, what would it be and why? And Sente, we'll start with you.
I mean, honestly, I'd probably pick super strength. He's kind of a big guy. He's kind of buff, strong. So, you know, if I can keep my movement on and be good with moving around him, I think I could personally take him down if I had super strength. So
I'm just going to say no tire wear, because somehow Dover always comes to tire wear, and that's, you know, you need no tire wear here, so that's what I pick. I would just throw an axe. That button. I'd just throw an axe.
Aim right between the eyes and make sure you get the dead center shot there, Donnie?
Yeah, just get him right in the center of the forehead.
That is a way to do it, Keenan. I don't know if that's like the way I would trust, but that, like, theoretically that's possible.
My man needs the adamantium axe to get him right in the forehead. That'll be all he's going to do is make him angry at that point. But yeah, no, again, thank you to both Vicente and Ryan for joining us, and we're once again welcome Donovan Strauss to the booth.
Well, let's talk to Donnie, because Donnie, it's been a big week for you because you are now a taken man, properly and off the market, engaged earlier this week. So what was the proposal experience like, and can you just tell people a little bit about how that went for you?
Yeah, so I took my fiance up to Pretty Place Chapel in South Carolina on Sunday, and I've had this day planned the last 3 months, and a lot of coordination has gone into it, having my whole family there. But you know, it's the saying, when you know, right? So it's been a big week for me, just taking that next step with her and our relationship, and just, you know, it's been a blessing to me, and I always tell people she's the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. So it just she definitely keeps me on my toes, that's for sure. But it's a blessing.
And Chente, from your perspective, because I know you've known Donnie for a long, long time, to see him find his person and to start the ball rolling, I guess, on tying the knot. What are the emotions on your end?
Yeah, I mean, I met Laurel pretty early on in their relationship, and I mean, she definitely brings out the best in him. And kind of like you said, I've known Don for the last, 9-10 plus years. So, you know, I've seen pretty much every version of him. He's seen every version of me, and you know, there's no doubt that she brings him closer to God and brings out the best in him. So I am beyond happy for them, and I am very excited for their big day.
I feel like for as much as Donnie, and I know we talked earlier this season, Donnie, but when you talked to me and you told me that mentally you were just sort of in a better place and you felt more grounded than you were coming into this year, was this, you know, maybe sort of part of the thought process that you couldn't necessarily say it at Jinx, but was this sort of in the ballpark of your mind as you sort of went through all that?
Oh, absolutely. Like she's just like I said, she's the best thing that's happened to me. So she makes me a better person, and I just I have the mindset now that I just know everything's gonna be okay, and I'm really mellow at this point in my life, and it's paid off for me in racing this year, because I've had to bounce back from a lot of things, and you know, I just keep positivity in my mind at all moments, and she helps me thrive for sure. She's special.
So we're definitely going to hear Ray LaMontagne's "You Are the Best" thing at the reception, I would think, right? Got to, right?
I'll check with her, but I mean, we could do that, yeah.
Pride of Nashua, New Hampshire, Keenan. How musically versed are you in all this? Surely you have something. You always have something.
I've been to Nashua, but I have no idea anything about it, unfortunately. On the topic, I know Donnie, you got pulled up in here. I think you knew you were going to get grilled about this a little bit. When does happiness and like the like, oh my God, I'm getting married stop, and the oh my God, and I'm getting married, and all that stress of wedding planning start?
We're just taking our time right now and just kind of trying to process everything. But it hit me the morning after. That's when it all hit me. But I don't know if it's ever gonna go away. It's a great feeling, and I don't know if that feeling will ever go away. But we're gonna take our time with it and make sure we do it right. And that's what we've always done. That's why we thrive the way that we do. We just, we do everything right, I feel like, and we just take our time with things, and it'll be no different with this. So I'm not sure exactly when the wedding's gonna be yet, but we're gonna figure it out here, and we'll get started on it.
I think when that moment comes, it's going to be a certified proper party party. And Donnie, a huge congratulations to you. Gente, congrats on the win. Donnie, congrats on finding your person. May we all be as happy as you two are tonight for different reasons. Thanks as always for the time, and congratulations on a fabulous week for both of y'all.
Thank you, guys.
Gente Salas for Kanan Esports, Donovan Strauss for Atlassian Williams Sim Racing. We turn our attention to two more faces here. One, relatively irregular on these, Jimmy Milish for Kevin Harvick Esports. The other, with a substitute drive, a guest drive here, Agnel Phillip, racing for Vegas Inferno this evening. Gents, Jimmy, we'll start with you first. Just, can you assess your day? And even though the pit stop sort of maybe dampened it a little bit, but how reassuring is it to have raw pace the way that you had for the majority of this event?
It feels good. Honestly, James, these last 2 weeks we've been pretty good. I messed up qualifying at Iowa, but we obviously came through the field, and we're in the conversation all night until we got put back in the field and then got wrecked. Seems to happen to me a lot this year. And tonight it was same song, different verse. Just really lights out qualifying effort from our guys at Team Conti Sim Performance. Me and Nick knocking out the front row, and just was trying to take care of it and buy my time and manage the tires and try to have something if it went green, and felt like we were doing that pretty well that first run. Came in for 4 tires hoping that would be the move, and obviously it wasn't. Couldn't really make up any track position after that. We were kind of just stuck from like 5th to 8th, but still was running really good. And then at the end there, we were going to run out of gas and also blow a right front. So it's unfortunate to not get the result that I felt like we deserved tonight. But I guess if we deserved it, we would have ended up closing it out and not running out. So it sucks. It's been a pretty abysmal year, to be honest. I feel like we've struggled to have speed, and over these last 2 weeks, we've had a lot of really good speed. So hoping it can continue to build on that, and we'll see what we bring at Chicago next week.
Agnel, you're a driver who, if those who aren't clued in, look at the background, plenty of success in independent leagues here on iRacing, especially in the eNASCAR side of things. Competed in the former Road to Pro ladder last year. To have this experience, even if just for a race, how has it changed your perception of what it's like to compete in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series?
Oh, the level of competition is insane. I mean, I was trying to take it easy that first run, and people were just blowing my doors off. Just fell back, I think, 10 spots in 5 laps, and it was fine. I was kind of committing to the strategy of running long, so I wasn't like panicking or anything. But I was, in the Road to Pro ladder and Contender Series, and kind of some of the most competitive stuff I've been in before this. Like, you don't lose that much track position that quickly. Kind of with how hard I was driving, so definitely it was a wake up call in a lot of ways, I guess. But it was cool. There's a reason. Everybody in the series is in it, and I saw it today. I'm glad I was able to kind of play or maximize the day that we could have had there. And clearly we had a really fast setup. Our teammates did really well today, so. but yeah, no, it was pretty crazy. Kind of those first couple laps, definitely, welcome to the big leagues moment.
Agnell, when you found out that you were going to be substituting at Dover, of all places, to make your debut, how intimidating was that?
It was a mixture, because Dover has typically been like a good track for me, but it's a very it's a track that I think I either run really hot or cold at, and I knew it was going to be a struggle to get up to pace. I was really grateful to the folks over at Vegas Inferno and for Malik for putting in a good word for me to sub for him, and also the folks at Dead Zone Racing did a really good job on the set this week as well. So I think it was a good. It was going to be a tough stretch to try and get ready for the race, but we did the best we could. I think I didn't quite have, certainly not Jimmy's pace or anybody else who was kind of running up front for most of it, but could at least hang in there and not embarrass myself, and qualified actually a little bit better, I wish we could have qualified a little bit better, but qualified okay. So I'll take it, I think, all around. Successful finish successful outing given all the stuff that we were dealing with.
And you mentioned that everyone is in this series for a reason, that people were blowing your doors off. Was it a humbling experience?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I definitely, I can compete at this level. I know I can, especially, adequate prep and, being in these cars more. But, yeah, I mean, it was definitely humbling because, you have I've always had, a certain pace that I can kind of run and be fine, and I tried to do that at the beginning of this race, and I got 10 people past me in less than 10 laps. So it was pretty humbling for sure.
And of course, we're taking questions from the Twitch chat. If you would like to ask one of these drivers a question, please let us know in the Twitch chat. Statement actually for you, Agnell, from Zach Novak, and I must stress this is in all caps. I love you. Good job. So for this things first, I feel like I would be in trouble if I didn't get that point across. Secondly, and this one's also for you, Agnell. Sorry, Jimmy. From Heroes Motorsport, do you feel your performance tonight is justification of your talent in terms of missing out on a regular ride? And how do you think you could have improved?
I could have improved by being faster, for sure. But, I think I think ultimately, these races, there's a lot that go into them. And, I think everybody in this series is in it for a reason. I didn't do spectacularly in contender last year, so certainly wasn't, I missed the cut for various reasons. But yeah, no, I think it's validation that at least I can compete at this level. And hoping to have more opportunities. Maybe next year, whatever the kind of pro ladder looks like, we can have a little bit better run at it.
And Jimmy, something for you. It always seems like more midway throughout the season, we start seeing the best out of you. Is this part of kind of you just getting comfortable throughout the year, or is just something clicking now that wasn't clicking before in the earlier this season?
I think this year, it's honestly just a product of us finally finding some speed in our setups. We've been trying. The level of effort hasn't been any different these last 2 weeks compared to the entire season before that. It's just for whatever reason we're finding combinations that are working finally, and hopefully we can continue to do that. I feel like all year I've had the pace to run up front if our cars were capable. So that's just part of it. It's very hard to be competitive in this series. It's very hard to be competitive back-to-back weeks. A lot can change, and there's a lot of bigger groups that we're up against that it makes our job a little bit harder, given that it's really mainly me and Nick most of the time during the week working on the car. So but we do what we can, and I'm confident that when our stuff's right, we can obviously be competitive. We were both up there in the fight tonight, and it's really all you can ask for. So hopefully the summer luck that I seem to have consistently all these years continues, and we can close out the year pretty strong.
I was just about to say, we got 2 races, especially next week on the 1st of July. Should we be marking our calendars as Jimmy July again this year?
I don't know about the first one, given that it's the street course, but I've had good success at Indy before, so maybe we can ring that old Jimmy July bell one more time.
There's a bell?
Oh, there's a bell.
There's a bell all these years, and I'm not. All right, well, tell us about this bell. This is news.
No, there's not actually a bell. I was just, it's just a saying. I don't know, man. It's been a really rough year, so whatever we got to do, if we got to get an actual bell, if we got to get anything to right this ship and finally put the 29 treetop colors in victory lane, I'll gladly do it. We're going to keep our heads down, continue to work hard, and we'll see what happens.
Fair up, bell or not? We'll see how that goes. Also, a fun question from chat. Is there a favorite car that both of you have in the sim that doesn't have an active series attached to it now? For example, maybe the Pontiac Solstice would be a good sort of rule of thumb here.
I have strong feelings about this.
It's actually a really good question. I'll be honest, I spend pretty much all my time on here devoted to the Cup car now. But if there's anything that I like to just randomly drive, the whole COT is pretty fun. That's something that doesn't have a series, and it's fun to take to some 1.5 miles and rip around every once in a while.
Yeah, it's been a few years. That's my boat too.
What's crazy here is that Like a Psychic, our producer, just came into our internal chat and said they're going to say the COT. So is he just a mind reader, or are y'all just that transparent? Is he that clairvoyant? Who do we need to give credit to on that?
You're doing an interview for a post race at an eNASCAR event, so there you go.
Agnel, your job is to tell me not what I need to hear. Your job is to tell me what I want to hear. Come on. You're killing me over here. Keenan, can you save me? Are you in a place to be able to right the ship, perhaps?
Sorry, they said what car doesn't have an active series, and my brain just got very Volkswagen shaped, and I haven't been able to have a coherent thought in the last. For those who didn't do the Jeddah races during week 13, you absolutely missed out.
Keenan, here's your chance. Make your platform to Jimmy, to Agnel, to everybody watching on eNASCAR.com/live. Why the Jeddah is that car?
I don't think I have to. I don't think I have to. If anybody ran one of those races, you just purge some demons. And if I say more, Nim's going to show up at my house. So I really don't want to have that conversation. Even Seth Eggert in our chat, Herbie Jeddah, all caps. Shout out to Ryan Vargas somewhere in the world. He's smiling. He doesn't know why. But yeah, no. James?
What? Why are you looking at me?
Listen, man, there's diesel in my head. I don't know.
We need to get some of that blue tech in there to fix it up and get you ready to get right. All right. Regardless, let's give Jimmy a break here. He's in good shape, and we're probably just rambling at this point anyway. So, Jimmy, thank you so much, and appreciate the time. And even though the finish might not have been what you wanted, solid speed all night. Agnel, the word has been solo for a platform here, and I'm not necessarily certain what that means. Maybe do you know what that means? How about this? If the people need to find you, where can they find you on social, and where can they find you in the sim?
Sure, yeah.
Actually, hold up. Better. Let's elaborate on that. Why should you be in consideration for a full-time seat in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series? And then where can they find you?
Hey, my big talent is maximizing days. You have a day like today where you're facing the wall twice and are able to save it and come back and finish okay. That's what I can do, and that's what I almost always do. And I think I've got a lot of pace going forward too. And I like to think I'm a good conversationalist too in these interviews. So, I think there's a few different things. If folks want to find me, follow me. I'm on Twitter /X at Agnel AGNEL88_Philip. That is a Dale Jr. reference. You can also follow me on Twitch, Agnel_Philip over there. Been trying to do some more streaming. But yeah, and would also again, big thanks to the folks at Vegas Inferno for the opportunity. I also got to shout out my colleagues at the Propublica Guild as well. Always racing for them.
We love it.
Well,
we love it. Also, Keenan, I'm going to get to you here. Let's rock with this because, Adam, we have one more question for you. It's the final boss question, which is our question today, courtesy of Keenan Kusin.
Sorry to cut you off there, James. I had a whole bit planned. Well, Mr. Conversationalist, here's your test of linguistics here. The final boss of Dover is, of course, Miles, the monster. If you could pick one superpower to beat him with, what would it be and why?
Ooh, that's tough.
It's hard to think in this heat, I understand.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I don't know. My mind is going. It has to go to supers. You gotta meet the strength with the strength. You know, like you Hulk like strength, or I think Hulk would beat Miles, unfortunately for Miles. So I would go with super strength. And hope that he's like actually just a nerd, because that would make things a lot easier if he was just a statue.
Yeah, it turns out he's big, but he has a very high SAT score and never has seen a gym in his life. Thank you very much, Agno. Hopefully we'll see more of you this season, and best of luck through the rest, staying cool in this heat. Joining us now up in the booth, James Pike, Colin Keister, and Colin Bowden.
All right. Before this goes completely to wherever this is going to end up, who knows where. First off, Colin, big congrats to you on the podium run tonight for Jim Beaver Esports and the Misadventure Life Machine. Great run on a track that has suited you well in theory, I guess your home track here in eNASCAR, but also equally as important, and not to short sell that, but Colin, the TV's off. Bowden, what are we doing? There's no sports on the TV in the background. What is this? Is this a sign of the apocalypse?
Probably why I run so damn bad. It was just idle for so long and it cut off. But we don't have no sports to bet on baseball, but we're not real good at the baseball betting. So we gotta dig our teeth in and get good at it, because we got nothing to bet on for 2 months till football season comes around.
All right. Well, how about this, Colin? Let's actually. I guess we should try and keep this serious to begin with, and then we'll see where we land. Colin, your run this evening, just a sort of like everybody else in the top five, just put nose to the grindstone to go for 92 laps. How tough was it to manage fuel and tires for that long a stretch, especially when a lot of the talk around the new build has been just how detrimental it can be to your green flag run if your tires fall off the cliff and start blowing up?
Oh yeah, just first want to thank Jim Beaver Esports and Misadventure Life for the continued support, and Dead Zone Racing and Houston Hamer for giving us a fast piece. But I was lucky to finally got a good qualifying spot tonight. We've started worse than 30th like 4 times this year, and that was a big help. And I was just able to run my pace. I actually am a little mad at myself because I had a lot more tire at the end of that race than I thought. I think I could have got up there and tried to contend for the win, but I'm happy to bring it home in third.
I think we're going to put Justin Malillo on the spot just because it's fun to put Justin on the spot here. So, Justin.
Man, I'm taking pictures right now. I'm looking at all the tire wear. I mean, Colin, Colin Bowden, you had a mechanical black flag at the end of that race, but you were able to still limp it around and finish on it. Colin Keister, you never got that mechanical black flag. So, I mean, what was up with this track and the way that Miles the Monster was just absolutely eating these tires tonight?
I don't know if it was a track issue. I think it was a driver issue. I mean, I don't know what this.
The driver was cranking.
Yeah, this update is happening, and I don't know what the hell to do, how to drive. I came in, I had a 40% difference in tire wear. I had plenty good right rear and no right front. I have no clue what I'm doing wrong, and it's summertime, and I don't have a lot of time to figure it out what time I'm doing wrong either. We need to go restrictor plate racing. We need about 3 or 4 of them in a row.
Fair enough. Colin Keister, I'll bring it back to you here because I'm looking at the points, and you got that win, and now you got 3 more races to make sure that you're above 20th. You're 8th. You're more than a whole race ahead of 21st, which is Grand Boland. So you feeling absolutely confident that there's no way you're going to miss this playoff run?
Yeah, I'm feeling very confident about that. I knew if we had a good run tonight that I'd be in a pretty good spot, especially with the road course coming up next week. Don't typically run very well at those, but I think if we come out of there with the top 20, well, we should be sitting very good and good to go.
Fair. We like that. Seth Eggert, what say you? Nothing? Crickets?
Good talk. That was
about to say, yeah. All right. Well, Keenan, how about this? Are we ready to launch this into high orbit here and just see where we land, I guess?
I could speak seriously. Why you don't typecast me, first of all. Secondly, yes, I am. So, I mean, Bowden, you kind of mentioned it, but we'll throw this to both of you. Who's won more in the sports book this year out of the two of you, and which events were the biggest winners and losers?
Winners.
Down big.
I know what a winner is this year.
It's been bad for a few months.
I've done nothing but get my teeth kicked in at the start of the year. It was like January to March, I went 2 for 43 on the book. I lost like 3K and just lost. And this damn, the NASCAR DraftKings, I have no idea what I'm doing on that anymore.
Yeah, we have not figured the next gen out, that's for sure.
I just donate money every week to them. It's just...
We're helping the cause.
It's bad, but football's going to come around. We're going to turn it around, and the next bet is always going to hit.
Well, we hit that Taiwan basketball at 6 a.m. tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. Korean basketball tips at 4 a.m. if anyone's like ever wondering if they need to watch that.
My boys are locked in. Oh man, I didn't expect to hear about Korean basketball tonight. Thanks. I'll be sure to have a Monster Energy and make sure I'm awake. I
forgot one team. It's like the Phoebus something. Hold on, I can tell you. Let's see if I can find this here. I remember betting on them.
Do we have a hot hand we're riding or a good future that is worth recommending to the people here on the post-race report?
Bengals for the Super Bowl.
Oh, okay.
I would not bet that. I would steer
Joe Burrow's a dog. We gotta put our faith in him.
I just don't think the Chiefs lose again. Like, I got kicked off I was on that ship and went down with it in the Super Bowl, but I just don't feel like they lose.
We're tired of hearing about Mahomes.
I mean, here's the thing that I don't think a lot of people want to admit, and I think y'all probably will agree. The fact that deal is incredibly team-friendly means that they're going to be in the hunt for 10 years. It's the best thing he could have done for the organization. And I kind of like it because, in a sense, you can maybe not get as much money for the team as you could get, but you'll make it up in endorsements. And if you have the success that they've had, you can, the money that you wouldn't be getting for the deal, you made up anywhere. So the Chiefs, in my mind, they almost had that sort of Alabama factor, right?
For money at all.
Right.
Just fine.
Right, but
me on the other hand, I could use $1 thrown my way.
Well, maybe, but okay.
Here we go.
For those who don't know, you make a decent amount of dollars working on submarines, Colin. So, and how appropriate that you've got to build submarines.car or .com car that you run. So, for those who are unfamiliar, what's work life like? If I could actually speak, and what do you do for a living?
I'm an engineer on submarines. I do a mechanical side of that, and the best way I could probably relate or equate it to is like if someone has a problem, they bring it to me to solve, and Colin doesn't understand that I have to do the thinking here. He just manages water and makes sure it's wet. He doesn't he doesn't realize how important my job is. But yeah, I mean, just work 40 hours a week. I feel like that should be a rule in the series. It would really help me if they could make everyone have a job and then do this series on the side, because that would equal the playing field, because I cannot compete with these guys that just do this all the time. I don't have the skill set, the ability anymore. I'm getting too old for it.
You're just hard-headed, man.
I'm not hard-headed, man. You turn 31 years old, try to play this game. It'll kick you in the teeth, too.
I'm close.
All right, hold up. We saw a four-legged friend make an appearance, Keister, on your side of things. So can we potentially get an introduction to your?
Yeah, that's Toby. He's a mini Australian Shepherd. We got him last September.
Any way we can maybe get him up on cam for a little bit just to showcase him here?
Come here, buddy. Come on.
What the people want.
Yeah, he's. I don't
You guys
think
are
he
great,
wants it.
but that's what the people want. Yeah.
Yeah.
Big
This is-
kisses.
This is the content that everybody wants in the eNASCAR world. Who needs the races when you could just have an Australian Shepherd on camera?
Right.
Would you consider running a race with Toby in your lap the whole time?
Oh no, I would not. I got to shut the door because he would be a little bit. I think he would turn my steering wheel and I'd be crashing.
Nate Stewart asking, what the dog doing?
He's just hanging out, playing with his toys.
We love that. And Aussie, too. So equal parts smart and incredibly energetic, I would imagine, right?
Oh, yeah. Yes, very energetic. It's our alarm goes off 5:30 in the morning. He's up and ready to go.
Keenan, I know you have thoughts here. Surely you have. There's been too much, and I know you can go to too many different places here. Surely you've got some sort of question, something.
I do, and it is from you know him, you love him, Heroes Motorsport from the Twitch chat. Colin, what affects the performance more? Is it the sports on the TV or how coiffed the mullet is this afternoon? I added some pieces to that, to be fair, but
I don't know. I don't know what affects it now at this point because we're just awful. So I need to change something. But outside of this, it still works pretty well for me. So I don't know what we could change really.
Can we see Colin Bowden with a side shave in the future? Is that
sides? What is?
You said you shave the sides and it's all just a racing stripe down the middle.
Is that? Are you talking about a mohawk?
I'm about to say that's basically a mohawk. Is that not?
Yeah, pretty much. But you keep the back of it and the front of it. You just don't spike it.
Yeah, I don't see that happening. I mean, the good Lord blessed me with a luscious head of hair. And to think I went through high school and had this shaved. I just had a buzz haircut, and I just really didn't tap into my full potential. But now, I mean, this really works good for us out and about. Chicks really like it, and so we're going. Chicks dig it, I dig it. So that's what we're going to keep working with.
Trust me, buddy. A lot of us didn't know what we had in high school. I don't think you're alone on that one.
No, my hair's gotten thicker since high school. Most people lose it, and I've gone the other way. So we've defied the laws of physics.
Surely there's got to be like a shampoo or conditioner to get that volume, right? I would think.
No, believe it or not, I just wash it like once or twice a week. When I ever like sweat or get dirty, I do that. Then I condition it like once every 2 or 3 weeks. But I wake up and it looks like this. I mean, I don't do a damn thing to it. It's just God-given beautiful looks that not a lot of people can pull off.
That is the most Ricky Bobby thing I think I've ever heard you say. There's been a lot of high contenders.
I'm about to say there are a lot of things that would fall in that camp, but Keenan, I think it's time for the final boss.
Gentlemen, you are being subjected to our question of the day, unfortunately. The final boss of Dover is, of course, Miles the Monster. If you could pick any one superpower to beat him with, what would it be and why? And Keister, we'll start with you. Once you're done with the dog, once that's all.
Yeah.
Excuse me, sir.
Superpower. Toby, get down.
Toby has thoughts.
I guess super strength, so I could just break him in half. I don't know what else to go. I think that's my go-to there. Hit him hard enough, he should just break down.
Colin Keister, the one punch man. Bowden, do we have any thoughts?
We don't need a superpower. I probably could take him right now if he wanted to square up. If he knew what was best for him, he would stand there in front of that racetrack and just hold the car and look pretty.
This is the most Colin Bowden answer I think we've heard in this interview. And I feel like, Keenan, that's like we're not topping that, are we?
No, and this stopped being an interview like 10 minutes ago. Let's be real. We're just hanging out now. But
well, that's what the Sudoku post-race report is. It's vibes, right? It's always vibes. So a shame that we have to keep the train on rolling. But Collins, thank you for your time. Congratulations on your hair and your run. I wish I could join you in that camp, Bowden, but mine is sadly coming off of my head. So keep the good hair going for all the rest of us who are not as fortunate. As we turn our attention to the results page and our top 10 from the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series at Dover. Jensei Salas gets the victory. Ryan loser Colin Keister, who we just heard from, round out the podium. Dylan Duvall with another top 10. Casey Kerwood, I think, with a much needed top 10. And some big time runs from some of the folks in the back half of the top 10. I think namely Jordy Lopez, Connor Yarashak with the season's best run for Letard Esports, and Dylan Alt with a really solid run for Hayek Motorsports too.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see Jordy Lopez back up there, kind of backing up his performance from last week. He's just been getting silently better and better and better. And shout out to another one of my Canadian friends. Obviously, we could talk to him next week, but for reasons we'll probably get into next week. But to have another one of our Canucks up there in the top 10, nice to see him kind of converting on all of his success and getting a top 10 here tonight at Dover, especially with such a wacky strategy and so much thinking on the fly they had to do tonight.
This was crazy, and you did sort of have to manage all the variables as they came, and it very much, I think, became a game of who blinked first more than anybody else. It's those that ended up blinking. They were the ones who ended up suffering track position and not really coming home with the finishes that you could argue they deserved at the end of the night. But those who were able to tough it out rode off with top 10s and really good runs here. So we turn our attention from the Collins to the Matthews Keating Coos, and it's Matthew Morton and Matthew Zwack that now join us on the Sunoco Post Race Report.
We had Colin squared, we got Matt squared. That's it, just keeping it easy for us tonight. And let's just make it not as confusing whenever we say Matt. That's great, cool, excellent.
Right. Now, for those unaware, Mr. Morton and Zwack were both playing substitutes again this evening. Morton running in the E-Racer 42, Zwack running in the Junior Motorsports 88 this evening. But for those who have not paid attention to the other eNASCAR broadcast that we have, this is where we're going to start this. You two are both former competitors in the eNASCAR College iRacing Series, but not only are you competitors in the eNASCAR College iRacing Series, but you happen to represent both sides of arguably the most heated rivalry in all the Midwest, Michigan and Ohio State. So, gentlemen, I would like your thoughts on the rivalry, and I guess it's what, that team up north versus no M's or something to that effect.
Yes, sir.
You all can explain this one better than I can.
I'll start. I don't. I think it's the biggest rivalry in college, or at least in the States, but
for sure.
The college series, we've been duking it out back and forth pretty much. He wrecked me at Dega that one time. Other than that, I think it's been pretty normal. I don't know. I forget about wrecks so easily. But yeah, it's been good. It's been really nice for me. The 3 years I've been here, I've been pretty successful in my sporting ventures. I got to rush the field twice. Yeah, one I wasn't at the school, but I have gotten to rush the field twice. So hopefully, I haven't made the trip down to Columbus yet. Maybe see them plant another flag in there, but apparently that's illegal now. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. In Bryce Underwood, we trust, I guess, and basketball. We'll have them covered in basketball, but main goal is football. Hopefully, it's a good year. But yeah, I've outside of that, I've raced with Morton a lot, and it's always been competitive. It's always been good. So it was pretty nice for both of us to get the chance to race tonight. I thought it was pretty neat.
Yeah, for sure. I think the rivalry itself is it's great for college sports, like on campus. All year round, we have no M's. Like if a building starts with an M, that's getting crossed off. We take it very seriously here in Columbus. But unfortunately, like, it's been miserable for me when you look at the rivalry. For me, as a student, we haven't got a win yet, but that's going to come this year, November, in the big house. But yeah, for the college series, like, it's always fun to race against Zwack, and when you think of the rivalry in that, it's just funny to think about how we can find each other on track so easily, and just how the rivalry can just go from the field and just go out on the track. So yeah, it's pretty fun.
It's sort of that I think that the best rivalries in sports, regardless of what form they take, I do think there's an element of truth to the general principle that you kind of need each other, and that even though you obviously want to beat the other person in that sense for your school and for your own success, that you're never going to be able to get that far away. And I think of a lot of the great college rivalries being around here. North Carolina Duke comes to mind. You think of Alabama Auburn, I think also goes in that camp. If we want to go further up the Midwest, a case for maybe like a Minnesota, Wisconsin or something of that nature. You go way out west, USC, UCLA, Oregon, Washington, Stanford, Cal, Texas, Texas A&M, just to name a few. But they're almost sort of attached to the hip on some level. Do y'all think there's some truth to that?
Yeah, I mean, it's great. Rivalries are great for the sport. I mean, when you think of a lot of the best series or games, you think of rivalries. I mean, it's basically this weekend's basically a holiday up here. With Thanksgiving, you go watch your high school playoff football if your high school's in there, and then you sit down and you pray to God your team wins. That's generally how it goes. It's like that for Michigan. It's like that for state. Where I am, I actually there's a very good melting pot of fans here. I get plenty of Ohio State fans where I'm at, and if it's like the way it's treated, it's. I mean, obviously it sucks if your team loses, but the experience as a whole, because a lot of companies will come and dump their resources in to make it a good time. It's a blast. I think it's good. It's good to have. It wouldn't be one without the other. Obviously.
Yeah, man. I agree. Like, rivalries are just great for the sport. Like when you think about this year, we lose to Michigan, get our butt kicked for whatever reason. Our game plan was awful. But that doesn't matter. We go in the playoffs and just storm everybody through the college football playoffs. So yeah, I think rivalries can help push each other, especially in football. Yeah, like rivalries in total, just great for sports. So yeah, that's my take on it.
We love it. We love it. Also, pretty sure that might be Alexander Russell in chat with the All-Wisconsin. Believe he is a Badger proper himself, so that would make sense. But Justin Malillo, bring us back to race car things and bring us wisdom that you have that the rest of us cannot compete with because you're Justin Malillo.
Well, I'll just start by saying that congratulations to both of you for making a start tonight in the 2025 season. It's a little bit different for both of you. Matthew Zwack, you were a former driver in the series. Your rookie season last season, you're making your return tonight. Matthew Morton, this was your first start ever. I mean, it's kind of on short notice too. I mean, how do you take the call and prepare when you haven't been doing this all season like the other 40 guys have been doing?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was really short notice. I didn't get the call from JRM pretty much until yesterday at work for lunch. So I had about give or take probably 7-8 hours realistically of in-car time with work just to practice. So that was a huge shock. And then add that on with the fact that we just had the Aero entire update to the car, and my only time was really with Pocono NIS. So I was sitting there grinding laps out all of yesterday, all of today pretty much to get ready. I felt really good in Q, and then I proceeded to back it into the wall in turn 3, so that was unfortunate. But yeah, I really enjoyed the idea. There's a lot more strategy with I believe the car being more realistic and how it handles. You need to figure out how you're going to get your track position. So I had a really fun plan to pit on lap 40 and try and get out ahead of everybody, but it didn't happen. So yeah, but the prep it was a lot of prep really quick, but it was cool to experience it again. I think it helped that I had the season of doing it. So yeah, it was definitely neat to get back, and I'm a really competitive person, so getting to race at the highest level like this is always fun for me. I love the competition.
Yeah, I mean, like for me personally, I try and help with everybody at Nexus, work behind the scenes, just test setups and help them get better. So, I mean, when the call came for me to step up for E-Racer, I mean, it didn't really hinder any of my practice, make me pay attention more. Like, I was just going to put in the same amount of work and stay ready, not get ready. So, again, just want to thank E-Racer for giving me this shot. It was fun to finally get my feet wet in the series, and look forward to any future opportunities.
Matt Morton, you mentioned getting your feet wet in the series. Was it intimidating to make your debut at Dover of all places?
Yes and no. I would say yes, because I think Dover is personally one of my weakest tracks when you look at ovals. Historically, like, it's just not been a good track for me. I've really struggled, lacked a little bit of pace. But I mean, when I was on the grid, I was like, I'm less nervous than I would be if I was spotting. So it was just weird. I think it wasn't really intimidating for me in that way. I think being behind the wheel, a lot of nerves kind of drown themselves out, and I was really able to just lock in and focus on the night.
Was it a humbling experience to be with some of the best sim racers in the world?
No, for sure. Yeah. All these guys here are phenomenal. Like, even though I started last, like, I just only had one strategy to just save tires in the back. So, I mean, everybody in this series is good. So, I mean, had to bring my A game in qualifying and backed it in the wall. So, yeah, everybody in this series is good and deserves to be in the ride they have.
And Zwak, was it humbling for you to return to the series?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely, getting back and the mental game that qualifying is and testing. When you're on the exact same stuff as your teammates, a guy like Steven, you get a guy like Steven who's just a monster and he's pulling your whole field by a second or two. It's like, okay, where can I find this? You're watching Talem, you're watching everything, and it's like, it reminds you that even at the top, man, there's still a big gap between the very best and the rest of the field. So yeah, it's you get like Steven and Parker, man, they're so good. Graham, all those guys. So yeah, it's definitely a shock to know that you're still at that high level and there's still that much to go gain. But it's a fun challenge too.
Of course, thank you to Seth Eggert for joining us up here. First of all, welcome back, Zwak, and welcome to the booth for the first time, Matt Morton. I have to use last names so we don't get confused once again. This one comes from one of our staff members here, Cisco. For Mr. Morton, when are you getting the construction fixed on the I-70? When's that getting taken care of?
Oh man, that's a really good question. I have no idea.
You personally are responsible for that, obviously. That this is absolutely your fault.
I think it's getting there, man. I think it's got to be within the next 2-3 years at least. So, I mean, I can't wait personally until it's done. So, yeah, that was a good question. Hopefully, it's pretty soon.
Just one more lane, right?
Yeah.
Just one more. And for yourself, Zwak, have you become a big-time Chargers fan?
A big-time what fan?
Chargers fan.
Oh, Chargers? Oh, with heart? No, not really. I'm live and die Detroit, to be honest. I'd say I'll pull for them, but I'm Detroit sports teams all the way. So, go Tigers. I think they're winning.
Question of the day for both of you. We'll start with you, Matthew Morton. The final boss of Dover is, of course, Miles the Monster. If you could pick one superpower to beat him with, what would it be and why?
Oh, man. I guess, like, super strength or something, man. He's got muscles on him, so I think I need some muscles for myself to take him down.
Fighting fire with fire. I respect it. Zwak, yourself?
Yeah, I have no clue. I don't even know how I'd approach that. I would need to do some scouting.
And just before we wrap up here with, first of all, thanks for both of you for joining us. Zwak, obviously, it's nice to see you, but maybe not the best circumstances. If you had something you could say to Breyer right now, what would it be?
Obviously, condolences to Breyer. I really appreciate those guys for giving me the chance to run, and I hope he's able to come back and run whenever he's comfortable, obviously, and he can do well. Obviously, something like that sucks, but hopefully it could be a mental reset for him, maybe. It never hurts to take some time off and get back into it, but yeah, I hope he's doing all right. Obviously, sucks to hear anything like that, so hopefully he'll be ready to go when he feels like it, and he'll get some good runs in.
Nice to see you both, and again, I just felt like we had to at least mention that. But thanks both of you for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you both again very soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
James Pike, it appears we have been joined by Goober number 1 and Goober number 2.
I'm just trying to process, and this is where I'm going to start just because my brain has more questions here and does not have answers. Not only Blake in a tank top, but a Pacers tank top.
He's got the boys out.
I get Suns out, guns out, but the story behind this, yes.
I'll be honest, I don't really watch the modern NBA anymore, but I grew up a big Pacers fan my whole life. Funny enough, so my uncle growing up was really good friends with Rick Smits, and they're still friends to this day. So, and I kind of started watching basketball. It was like after the Hornets and right before the Bobcats were in Charlotte. So I just kind of adopted the Pacers. And so, it was cool to see them make a run. But honestly, this is one of the few tank tops I had, and it was just it was so hot the last couple days here that I just wanted something that was just short sleeve. So I don't know. I took a page out of Kevin McAdams' book or something today, but I just wanted to stay cool a little bit for this race tonight.
Nate, are we hiding the guns here behind the shirt then, I guess? Is that your game plan here?
No, I just wear this shirt every week.
I won't pull an Eddie, I promise that.
I would hope not. But no, this is the shirt I had my first good run in when I finished 17th at Richmond, so I've just worn this shirt for every race since. And it worked out tonight.
Have you washed it?
That was my next question, yeah.
Of course I've washed it. I'm not a
You're
not
a gamer,
maniac.
I don't know.
I take showers. I do my own laundry, I promise.
Oh, we'll check on that one, James, I think.
I guess.
Right.
How about that? What about Justin or Seth? Do you have anything reasonable to ask?
Well, I'm going to ask about the strategies that both of you had. I got a text message from Kevin McAdams earlier tonight. Blake, you were trying to make it on fuel the entire way, apparently.
Yep.
Sorry about that caution, I guess, because that didn't pan out.
It didn't, but we were trying. I tried all day, and you guys know me, like I always look for some weird strategy like that. And the problem for me was tires. It wasn't fuel. I was fine. I was good by like 10 laps to be able to make it on fuel tonight. It was whether I could get the tires to last that long. And I'll be honest, I ran about 3 or 4 AI races today trying to get to lap 120, and I couldn't. I could get to like 105 or so, and then I'd blow right front or something like that. But just the way the track took Grover tonight was a little bit different than what the AI usually put down, and so I think it actually, I don't know if it was a winning call to start last and to try to do that, but I think we would have gained a healthy amount of positions, and who knows if that caution comes out at lap 80 or 90, maybe we're looking at being the leader and having an opportunity to put our C4 Energy Chevrolet in victory lane. So who knows? But always have to kind of think outside the box now with this next gen and kind of just how this car races now after the build.
Speaking of tires, Nate, you texted me after the race and you said you finished that race on a right front flat. That was a common occurrence going on at the end of tonight's race, and luckily, you got yours late enough where it didn't penalize you for not pitting.
Yeah, no. So a lot of my dead zone teammates took 2, and I was kind of thinking about taking 2 at the caution, but I wasn't exactly sure how the tires were going to hold up if I took 2. So in hindsight, I probably should have done that, and then I would have been further up and would have had a little bit cleaner air and would have been able to save a little bit more tire. But I took 4, and honestly, I just decided to go whenever the green flag came out because I just thought we were going to get another caution. I mean, we had a really quick one with that restart crash, and then we had to restart single file, and then I immediately grabbed Cody Bias's right rear and just thought I was God after that, and then just sent it for the entire remainder of the race. I didn't bother to back it down or anything. And then about 30 to go, I told my spotter, GL and Lewis, I was like, I think I might blow a tire. And sure enough, coming to 3 to go, or well, thankfully on 3 to go, I go into 1, and then the car goes straight and I get a meatball because my right front blew, and then I was either one hoping for a caution at that point, or two just to ride it out, and I rode it out and finished 17th, which I'm very thankful for.
Fair points, valid points. Keaton,
yes,
I feel like this is your domain, at least immediately.
I mean, it may make a little bit of a history. We chit chat every once in a while.
Especially because I think you need to be the one, because our director Cisco sent us a question, and I think that's definitely one for you to ask, Keaton.
Okay, cool. All right, so this one's for Blake, and I need you to know this is from Cisco, not me. So I don't know if
Okay.
I'm just a messenger here. Going back to Wilkesboro, apart from that on-camera interview, it just went under the. Have you been able to really take in that you got to be on Fox and all that?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that, I try to approach it like I would any other race that I do with Flo or the Cars Tour or anything like that. Which, by the way, tune in Saturday. South Boston, we'll be covering that race as well Saturday night, so that'll be a lot of fun. But, yeah, it was something that just kind of came and went in a flash, if I'm being honest. I mean, it's hard to believe that was already almost a month ago or so, but there was a lot of anticipation, built up for the series, and I know a lot of teams, a lot of drivers are really happy that they got the opportunity to do that, and to join the team that I got to join. I mean, like, Eric Brennan's the best in the business, and to be able to work with him and Kevin Harvick, Dale, and Caitlin Vinci on pit road was something that I don't often try to think about that stuff, but something that I'll definitely cherish. As long as I live, and who knows, maybe we have more of that coming in the future. Maybe not. If not, it was a blast to do it. So just really fortunate to be able to do it, and want to give a big shout out to Parker Kligerman because what I've been able to see from him the last couple of years on pit road and being able to work with him, it made the transition to know what to expect and how to prepare and to know just kind of how things work. I mean, what trailer you get your equipment from, all those things. It just made that so much easier. So really, a big shout out to him because he made getting prepared for that race so much easier with being able to work with him the last couple of years.
Nate, it seems like you go from strength to strength, at least in the art department. You premiered a new livery tonight. It's been all over your Instagram, and obviously you took some beautiful screenshots of that. For those who don't know, it's a thing that you do. Can you talk us a little bit through that and maybe give a little bit of shout out to whoever's got the paintbrush for your team?
Yeah, so Matt Kalish has the paintbrush for our team.
Not surprising at all. That's who I thought it was.
At my buddy Matt K on socials, he does all the paint schemes for us. And I want to say he designed the real car too. So the car tonight was based on a new build that Jim Beaver came out with in partnership with Ford of the new Mustang Mach-E Rally, and it's called Livewire. So that scheme was kind of a sort of an homage to Ford's rally history, and also just kind of bringing it to the forefront with new electric stuff. I'm not great with words, but you know what I'm getting at, like electric vehicles and rally. It's a pretty cool combo if you ask me. So I want to say Kalish made a post about it on Instagram either today or yesterday talking about it, and apparently it took him months to get that design figured out. So I just want to say thanks to Matt Kalish for one, designing that car, and two, giving me the opportunity to run it tonight. I don't know if I'm going back to the normal orange car next Tuesday, or if I'm staying in this one, or maybe I'll have a new scheme. I don't know. I asked to have a pink and blue car at some point. Just why not? And we haven't gotten that far yet. Jim okayed it, but we're just waiting to see. And also, real quick while it's on my mind, I want to give a shout out to Jim, Chris, and Matt letting me run a pride flag bumper sticker on my car. That means a lot to me to be able to run this month with, I know Pride Month's coming to a close, but to be able to do that really meant a lot to me. So unfortunately no more races in June, but I'm really, really thankful
I get to drive for Jim Beaver Esports of all teams. They're a great support system, and I don't know if I'd be here without them.
Blake, we have obviously taken questions from the chat, and if I know nobody got me, I know Heroes Motorsport got me. Question for you, I might change the wording a little bit here. As a commentator, former commentator of the Coke series, does that have any bearing on how you approach the series as a driver? Maybe just studying it for so long, do you have a knowledge base that gives yourself an advantage?
Absolutely. I think, being able to watch the series the last 3 years, it definitely kind of put a lot of thoughts in my head about, what would I do if I was in, the situation that a lot of these guys are in. And it's just it's a notebook to be able to look back on and kind of think, okay, well, maybe this track things play out this way, or we're more likely to get a yellow here, or, just kind of looking at instances of drivers and, liking the moves they make, not liking the moves they make. If anything, I think strategy-wise, which I'm generally, I don't want to say aggressive, but I'm willing to kind of think out of the box or try things that I think a lot of people are more hesitant to. I'm more willing to jump in the pool, I guess. I think that kind of comes from my broadcasting experience. Because there's so many races in this series that, it's really hard to predict what happens. Things don't always play out the way you do. And even tonight, tonight's a great example. I wasn't able to put a Q lap down because I had an issue with my wheelbase where something locked up and I wasn't able to actually put down a lap in time. But I knew as soon as I started last, it's going to be really hard to pass. It's going to be tough and dirty air. Why not try something different? So, I prepared, the last week in case I ended up in the back and wanted to try to make something happen where I didn't pit. And even if it wouldn't have won me the race, just to try something different. I think that's something that I definitely would have taken from being able to watch these races the last couple of years. And especially, again, Evan and I, we worked great together, but man, we had a lot of overtime finishes. We had a lot of late race yellows, and that kind of influences, I think, the decision making that I have. I know we have a different build now, and we're all kind of learning that and how to adjust to that. But I definitely think, being in the booth was really helpful for me to know, kind of going in, just certain situations. I think it helps to try to think outside the box a little bit.
I'm glad you touched on that because, we've run a league together for at least a season or two. You've always taken the weird strategy call. You're always willing to try something no one's else willing to try. Quick number off the top of your head. How often does that work? What's the percentage?
It's not high. I will say, as much as I try something, look tonight. We got a caution lap 40, and all I did was, save my tires and save a little bit of fuel, and that's all I got out of it. So it's one of those things that, you have to be willing to fail before, it works out. But I remember, I tried this twice. In Road to Pro in the past couple of years. I remember there was a Watkins Glen race. It was 45 laps, I think. And I stayed out. I didn't pit, and that ended up netting me 13 or 14 spots, and it's the reason I made contender in 2021. That same year, Road to Pro Phoenix, I cut an entire pit stop out of the race, and had that race gone green, I would have won the race by 15 or 16 seconds. So you have to be willing to kind of take those losses, but, it's one of those things you'll never know until you try it. So, and, with where I'm at in points right now, I'm 31st. I got a chance. We're like 45 back, I think, right now, 20th. So we do have a chance to maybe make up some ground here these last couple of races, but, it would be awesome to go out a winner. Or be able to do this and go for a win, and all it takes is being right once for that to happen.
Yeah, I always affectionately refer to it as the Blake all the time. Even whether it's you or not you, it's always the Blake in my head. It's like, oh, they're trying something weird. That's the Blake.
Well, I got to give a shout out to my cousin Jonathan McCandless, because I used to sim race with him 12 years ago, and he was the king of that. He's the one who told me, or always showed us, like, if there was any fuel that could possibly be made, you could guarantee that he was going to do it. Because he wasn't as competitive as me and my twin when we raced back in the day. So I learned it from him, and it's just something I've kind of, I guess, carried over to iRacing as well.
Question to both of you, and I'm going to make this more difficult because everyone keeps giving me the same gosh darn answer. The final boss of Dover is, of course, Miles the Monster. If you could pick one superpower that isn't super strength, you dorks, what would it be and why? Nate, you're first.
can it pertain to the race that happened tonight?
Sure. Someone said worn tires earlier. That's fine with me, as long as it's not super strength, for the love of God.
I was saving because that's what I needed tonight. I think if I would have just hung on to my right front a little bit, I could have maybe gotten the top 10. And that's really what I'm thriving for, is to get a top 10. And, I really, I cut into the 20 place, I cut into the points deficit to the top 20 tonight. I'm only 73 out now. So there's a chance. But I needed tire saving to defeat Miles tonight, that for sure.
And Blake, yourself?
Is qualifying a superpower? I wish that was a superpower. I'd love to be able to qualify worth a damn in this series. But,
Clean air is.
Yeah, it's just, to be able to see into the future, that'd be nice, because then I know when every caution's coming out. So that would help.
Keenan, I do feel like that would be pretty darn useful if you're Blake, to be able to nail every pit strategy call and zig when everybody else zags and get that right all the time.
We have one more. I'm not displaying this, James, but I have a very short memory and a small brain, and I will forget. But Blake, this one's from Cisco. Who's the better producer, your Fox producer or him? He's staring at you attentively right now.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, I've been able to work with a lot of great producers. And Cisco, Drew, they do an awesome job. Which maybe I'm mixing up, because Drew's the producer, right? It's not or is Cisco the producer? I don't know, because I don't know who's the director, who's the producer exactly. Either way, I've worked with a lot of great people. They do a really good job. It wasn't easy to step away from the booth, because I enjoyed working with this team every single week. But you know what? I'll side with the iRacing guys, because I haven't really. The whole Fox thing was just kind of a one-off. You get thrown into a whole new situation, new people, so it's hard to get a feel for everything. So I'll stick with my iRacing guys.
Mom and Dad are fighting now. Drew or Cisco, please pick one. They keep yelling at me.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I don't know. I feel like I didn't work a lot of races that Cisco directed, it was it was pretty much always Drew. So I don't know if I have enough experience with Cisco to really know the difference between the two.
Cisco Scaramuza is rapidly approaching your location.
Oh boy.
Fair. Also, I would just like to make the point here, and I'm glad that Blake hit it, that if you want to hear people talk about late models, and if you want to potentially see people sweat while talking about late models, there is a little shindig at South Boston on Saturday that will be on Flow Racing that you can see once you're done racing the late model at South Boston. I know there have been a lot of people doing that, but one of us will be in air conditioning and one of us will be out in sunshine and drinking 7 liters of water. And I feel like that means one of us is going to have more fun than the other. But whether or not that might be one or the other, I guess we'll let the fates decide, Blake, perhaps, maybe?
Sure, I guess so.
Something to that effect. Nate, any fun car combos that you sort of toyed around with? Speaking of Sobos, or late models at Sobos is a fun one. Anything that wouldn't necessarily be on people's radar that you're like, you all should try this?
The Toyota GR86 is pretty much any track. The Charlotte Roval is by far my favorite track, and then the Toyota GR86 is probably one of my favorite cars on the sim right now. So just go drive the GR86 anywhere. It's honestly such a blast. I recommend running GR Fixed or Production Car Challenge. They're really, really, really fun. Highly recommend them.
Waiting on Drew to come in and say, but no, Road Atlanta Short is the answer, because Road Atlanta is the ansser for everything.
Oh, jeez.
He likes to say. Yeah, no,
Can I answer this real quick? It's only going to be 2 seconds.
Fair.
87 to Rockingham. Why not?
Valid. I heard there's a 508-mile lap race that might go on once a year. That might be pretty important.
Yeah, I guess coming up in 11 months or so. Stay tuned.
Raises a lot of money for the Dale Jr. Foundation. Makes sense. So before I get even more trouble with Drew, I'm going to ask a question that he submitted. Blake, this for you. So there are 10 flavors of C4's performance energy, I guess, line. So when are we going to see more colors of C4 on your car besides the blue and the red?
I mean, the blue and the red were kind of the staples of everything, right? We've ventured off. We've done the Ultimate Energy. I think there's another race or two where we'll have that coming up, which I know that's more of a kind of generic car. It has it has the Cherry Bomb Frost. It has a couple different flavors on there. So I think we may see that at Chicago. We may see it another time or two throughout the rest of the year. But I don't know. It's one thing where I didn't want to change it all the time. And I know C4, they have a lot of great flavors. Personally, I'm a Hawaiian Punch guy. That's my favorite one. But Frozen Bombsicle's not bad either. Strawberry Watermelon Ice that we had on the car tonight definitely isn't bad. But we wanted to kind of build some consistency with the paint scheme. We didn't want to, be red and then orange and green. We didn't want to be changing it up all the time. We wanted to be able to have a pretty solid identity. And just with the fact, we had the throwback scheme earlier. We had the Ultimate Energy stuff that they want to work in and kind of align more with what Jesse Love's doing in the Cup Series as well. So I think kind of towards the end of the year, I think we may see another one or two kind of work its way into the fold, but we wanted to kind of establish, kind of a more consistent look to the car. I know personally, I get a lot of messages about it being a JRM looking car, because with the 8 and with the blue, it just has Wrangler vibes, is what I've been told a lot, and I kind of saw that even when we put the initial scheme together. So I know a lot of people really like the way the blue car looks, and then some people like the red. I know Kevin King always likes seeing the red one, and it looks like some of the old Pennzoil cars and everything. So wanted to kind of build a consistent base with it, and venture out. And but we have. I may disagree here with Nate, but I think we got the best looking car in the Coke Series this year.
Nope.
And that's fine. We can agree to disagree.
It'll be
fine.
It'll be fun in Charlotte trying to see who gets that vote for best paint schemes of the year, obviously. And all caps from Drew Addison, tell Cosman to get on it. So Cosman, you heard it here first. Probably not, because it's 10 o'clock and you're sleeping. Maybe. That guy doesn't know what the word sleep means. But Nate, obviously, Blake, you have your own Twitch channel, Mr. F4H Speed. I probably got that wrong. I hope I didn't get that wrong. Use code BALAKE to get 10% off your next C4 order. But Nate, something I think maybe that a lot of people don't know is you're pretty active on Twitch as well.
Yeah, a little too active on social media sometimes, if I'm quite honest. But yeah, you can find me at Nate_Stewart4 everywhere. Lately, especially after the build, I've really only been streaming the Coke races due to trying to figure out the Cup car. But I'm hoping once things kind of mellow out a little bit, I'll get back into streaming a little bit more, maybe doing some road racing or official oval racing, and then maybe I'll try to stream College Football 26 when it comes out, because I'm going to spend an ungodly amount of time on that game when it comes out. So if I run 40th at Indy, that's why. But yeah, Nate_Stewart4 is what I am everywhere. And then also make sure to go check out my sponsors, Misadventure Life. They're most active on Instagram, and then Simbrap Market. They're active everywhere. Make sure to go buy some stuff. And then, you mentioned it earlier. I do screenshots on iRacing, and I'm always open to taking commissions. That's at Apex Action Photo on Twitter and Instagram, I'm pretty sure, or you just hit me up directly. But yeah, that's where you can find me and my sponsors online. You should definitely go check them out.
For both of you, are we going to see some NASCAR 25 streams in the future when that releases?
Probably. I would say more than likely, yeah. I'll get the PC version of it. I don't have one of the new consoles yet, and I don't know. I probably wouldn't devote enough time to buy a new console with that. But yeah, I'll get the PC version and definitely light it up and hopefully kind of get to compare to what it does here, or how it's going to do in the future with whatever eNASCAR has planned.
And yeah, I'm sure I'll end up streaming NASCAR 25 whenever it comes out. I don't know if they've confirmed a release date or not, but it'll be around the end of the season, I'm pretty sure. So one, hopefully I'm in the top 20 in points come season's end, and two, there's going to be an elongated off season, it feels like, with change of the format. So, there will be more time to stream NASCAR 25 and do other things. So, yeah, I'm sure I'll stream some NASCAR 25 whenever it comes out.
I think a lot of us grew up big fans of those console games, so it's stoked to see both of you, and going to be excited to see what you guys do with it. James?
Yeah. I guess at the end of the day, there are indeed Wolfpack in the house. There are indeed CATS, cats, and there will be a lot of fun, I think, both in iRacing and in NASCAR 25 for both Nate and Blake. Here's one more look at the results from tonight's race at Dover Motor Speedway in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. Gente with the win. I think a lot of big stories here, especially looking back end of the top 10. Like we said, big runs for people who hadn't really been able to break through and get that big time result. And I think you've got a mixture of drivers reasserting their dominance and drivers maybe getting their season going here at this point.
Yeah, a lot of mood shifting here towards the middle part of the season, James. A lot of names that we haven't seen up towards the front are now consistently in this top 5 and top 10. We talked about it a little bit earlier. Jody Lopez is up there. Casey Kerwin had a good night. Ryan Luza, we obviously spoke to him a little bit earlier in the evening, but he's kind of been a staple of this top 10. So everything that you knew last season, especially with the new updates and everything we've gotten, may not be a thing anymore, especially when, James, we are going to the streets of Chicago next week.
Indeed. Chicago Street Course, round number 12. Last race for a few weeks at least. So one more sort of stretch run here before we get a few weeks off, but a big race here on the streets of Chicago. eNASCAR.com/live. 8 p.m. Eastern is when the broadcast will start. Countdown to green at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. As always, you can watch all of that, of course, on eNASCAR.com/live. A big thanks to all of the people that helped make tonight's show go. For our Countdown to Green team, for Camille Salazar Hadaway, Alan Cavana, and Ryan Vargas. For our broadcast team, Evan Pishoco and Jake Sperry. And for our team on the Sunoco Post-Race Report, for Justin Malillo, Seth Eggert, and my partner Keaton Kusin, I am James Pike. Thank you so much for watching iRacing's broadcast of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series from Dover Motor Speedway. Congratulations to Canon Esports, Vicente Salas. We will see you next Tuesday night from Grant Park and the streets of Chicago.